Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? We are live, Tornado Tag Podcast, episode 168, our favorite rivalry. So once again, I want to be very, very clear with this. This is our favorite rivalries. We are
not your favorite rivalries.
We are not
okay?
ranking the best
save
rivalries.
It. If you don't hear it, save it.
I wouldn't even
You can tell us
rank
your
the best rivalries of
no, so what happens
8
is
years of
if
pro
you
wrestling.
don't have the same as other people, sometimes they get a little upset.
Yeah.
Like, how can you say this rivalry, not this one?
Well, it's your favorite. You can say whatever you want.
Exactly. It's our favorite.
You could say Alicia Fox and Melina if you want.
It's a good one.
A teaser next week.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But if you are watching live, please join us in the chat and tell us your favorite rivalries and why. The chat is bumping already. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We will get to the chat. Please don't think we're ignoring you. There's a lot of conversation that has to happen at this table. So please put your stuff in the chat. Go along with us, talk along with us, have conversations with each other. Probably the best way right now, just looking at it, Ryan Vox, is maybe YouTube is where it's at. That's where everyone is chatting. And your favorite theme song is back. So I'll actually lead in with that. So Billy Trey is making new songs for the entire network. And because of that, we brought back his old theme for this one, so he doesn't make another song. But
he also just put out some new music as well.
He's going to be putting out an EP soon.
Wow. I know he made a post saying if anyone's looking for music to be made, he's doing, would it be called commissions for music too? I would assume so.
Very talented kid. I am working.
The commissioner of music.
Yeah, the commissioner.
If he ever gets around to sending me his information, we're going to be putting him in the link tree as well as Haley, as well as our sponsorship page too, because I would consider them sponsors of the show. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Make sure you check us out on all social media, Tornado Tag Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, the whole nine. Head over to YouTube and give us a subscribe over there. Also, if you listen to podcasts in your car, audio only on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, give us a follow and a review. It goes a long way. We have been climbing back up the audio ranks, which has been really, really exciting. We're not only ranking now in United States weekly, but we're breaking into Canada again. So it's really, really excited that people are getting out there and we're getting more.
They're going to hate you.
Oh, yeah. This episode,
they're going to hate you.
Canada, I'm sorry. Listen, Canada, I love Kenny Omega. I love Chris Jericho.
Kevin Owens.
I'm a huge Kevin Owens is my twin brother. You know what I mean?
Christian.
Love
Canadian wrestlers.
I'm not sure I think of Canadian people that you like.
But
the great Iron Mike Sharp.
But when it comes to the great civil wrestling war of the 90s, I am Team Shawn Michaels. I'm sorry.
Sorry to all the Canadian listeners.
He's wearing it on his shirt.
Sorry to tell you, a boyhood dream comes true is my wet dream. All right, sorry.
He took Sean from the lyrics of the theme song
very
really
serious. Very serious.
We're at 168 now.
The Playgirl's hanging on the wall.
Yeah, 169. I see what you did.
How much does a copy of that Playgirl go for? I wonder.
I don't own it. I don't own it, but if it was ever for sale at a show,
I'm gonna look on eBay then.
I might buy it.
It can't be much.
Could you imagine if I framed it?
We give that to Sean. Can you autograph
Gotta get it signed. Yeah.
And he's all.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. You remember when Bret Hart was like making fun of her that like he posed for a gay magazine?
Yeah, for the girly magazine. Did he say girly? He doesn't. I don't think he says gay.
I don't think girls look at that anyway.
I think he alluded that it was a gay magazine. Yeah,
I don't think those girly magazines are for the girlies anyway, or something like that. He said.
Yeah, he didn't outright say it, but he alluded to the fact.
Just like the genius.
And Sean,
a little light in the loafers, the genius.
And Sean was like, "Oh, cool. You want to do insults? I'll bury you."
Yeah, Sonny one.
You are not going to go work.
I'm going to act like you sleep with the girl that I'm sleeping with.
So take that.
Yeah, and the only reason I know you probably did is because I'm banging her too.
Poor Chris.
If you want to go word for word with Sean, you better bring your A game. That's because he had nothing to lose. He's crazy. Anyway, we'll definitely be talking that later on in the episode. Also, we have a Patreon. It's $1. It could be $2, whatever you want to do. It's a monthly donation. If you can support us that way, that'd be great. We are trying to grow when it comes to equipment. We're doing cool things on the road. I do have another vlog coming up tomorrow, which will be episode 3 of day 2 at the Hamburg Fieldhouse. That vlog drops tomorrow. I have a small little vlog we did at the Sanctuary for Sanctuary Mania Rumble. And then we have Stampede. And then we have
the Stampede that I outlasted Andy Header in.
Oh,
right.
He outlasted you.
Not time-wise.
No, not time-wise. Not a chance.
He finished later.
And I don't know who eliminated Andy, but it took the Sanctuary's 4 top students, one of them entering after me at number 30, Marcy Cabrera, Mr. John Cena of the Sanctuary.
I want to say it was Andre Polino that eliminated Andy, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
And John.
J.H.
Hawthorne.
Yeah, they double teamed you.
Yeah.
That they were
I came in 8th and you came in 29th.
Yes.
So.
I was
Luck of the draw, baby.
You gotta get that 27 spot, which I forget. I think which was a dinosaur.
I think that was 28.
Stuntosaurus Rex. But anyway, yeah, check out that on Sanctuary on YouTube. You scroll down, you can see it there. And then we also have the Demolition Q&A I'm editing, still working on. We messed up the beginning of that a little bit just because we weren't expecting to do it right away.
Yeah, it was a little impromptu.
Yeah, impromptu and holy shit.
Was a little kabuki-ish.
And a little holy shit, we're being asked to do this moment. And
I literally had to say, "Hey, Paul Bo, I'm sorry I can't help you carry your stuff, and I have to go help film an interview with Demolition."
Yeah. Huge thank you to Ryan Vox for that opportunity. That was crazy. And then also we have the Hamburg Fieldhouse Fan Fest footage between myself and Brian. A lot of it you're going to see on the vlog, but there is even more that we're going to put together and put in a vlog. So you're going to see me and Brian going around with the GoPros. GoPros have been unbelievable. What an investment. If you're looking to get cool content at shows and do this for a living, and
they're good quality.
Go GoPro. Dude, even the camera on it, like taking pictures with the camera.
Yeah.
I love taking GoPro photos because it kind of gives that fisheye lens and it gets the whole background.
Professional, especially movement.
Looks so good. And then when you film on it, you can actually like take photos off the GoPro.
Oh, yeah.
And the photos look really good.
Rather than just
don't accidentally record in time lapse.
That happens.
Oh boy,
that happens to the best of us. We both did it.
Hey, you live and you learn.
Yeah. So yeah, Patreon. There's merchandise. There's tip jars in our link tree. And if we hit that 1K, we can do that cool thing where your donations will pop up on screen.
Ooh,
if you do a Patreon,
does it make the noise like ching ching? Like maybe certain videos where people do things for coins.
That's more of a
Twitch thing. Yeah.
A Twitch thing or
they should
OBS
play
thing.
the Shane McMahon "Here Comes the Money" thing.
Yeah,
every time.
But if you do a donation on Patreon, on the link tree below, it will notify me on my phone, and we will personally shout you out.
If you do a Patreon donation while you're on the show, I will throw Shane McMahon punches at Andy.
Yeah,
and I don't have to leave the chair. I can. Do
and I won't get hurt.
Yeah. Austin might get. No, I wouldn't hit Austin. I won't even.
Might hurt yourself.
Yeah, I will graze Austin. Possibly.
It'll be like Stuntosaurus Rex punches.
Yeah,
you beat me to the punch.
Is that a short arms joke? Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
No, I'm saying Shane tucks his elbows and throws jabs like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you tuck your elbows and still do that,
this man never threw punches like.
My elbows are naturally tucked. I have very short arms.
All right.
They're throwing out a lot of good ones here. Austin versus McMahon. A lot of that when you read of, you think Doink versus Crush, and like actually it was pretty good.
It was fun.
Young Dragons versus 3 Count. I think first you say get the fuck out of here.
Who said Doink versus Crush?
But Young Dragons versus 3 Count were actually some good matches.
Mike D says Doink versus Crush.
Yeah, and they had
all the dinks come out of the bottom of the ring.
Fake doinks.
Yeah,
fake
doinks. Dink came only when he was a good guy.
Yeah,
I thought they had a thing where there was like 100 dinks came out.
No,
am I rethinking that?
I know there's Doink and Lawler. There was only one dink.
Yeah,
there was also Wink and Pink.
Wasn't there a moment where they had a bunch of little people come out from under the ring?
There was Doink, Dink, Wink, and Pink. And Pink, Wink, and Pink were little people, and they wrestled Jerry Lawler and his little kings, who were sleazy, queasy, and cheesy.
Yeah, they had a Survivor Series.
I love that. Anyway, let's go through the chat real quick just to give some shout outs. Thank you, Mick, hanging out. What do we got? We got Badass hanging out with us, Mick Thompson, Ryan Vox here. Let's see some of these things. We got, I would say, underrated Undertaker Kane. CM Punk versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
That's a fairly new one, but
great
good.
one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go old school. This isn't on my list, but CM Punk and Raven.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Yes, very good.
The original dog collar match between
Sting Luger, Rude Warrior, Dragon Sting.
Rude and Warrior, Rude and Sting, Rude and Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah.
Rude had some great feuds in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Rude Warrior with the tights, putting his wife's face in the tights.
That was Jake Roberts.
Was it?
Yeah.
Did he do that with Warrior too?
With the belt
they never publicized
belt.
Warriors.
Yeah. Good call. John Cena Orton on the list here. Hi YouTube. Ryan Vox switched over to YouTube. Appreciate that, my guy. I just want you to enjoy the chat. Sean Spears and his wife expecting a child.
His wife's more popular than he is.
Yeah.
All right, Peyton Royce.
Cassie Lee.
Yeah, Cassie Lee, the former Peyton Royce.
We will be
congratulations to Peyton Royce and her husband.
Yeah. What's that? Stan.
Stan Bob. No, what's his name? What they call him?
Stan.
Cody said no. His real name. They call him his real name, but it's like Robbie, like it's something like that. Like, but it's like something, and they put E on it. That's not a normal name.
I was thinking the Sean when he super kicked Stan.
And like,
Ronnie.
Ronnie. That's like, there's Ronnie.
June Dragons versus 3 Count.
That's what I said. Young Dragons versus 3 Count.
Yeah,
they were.
Hey babe.
When WCW made their cruiserweight titles near the end.
Yeah, John Cena Rock. We have Austin McMahon.
I even got a DVD.
Doink and Crush. The Von Erichs versus the Freebirds.
Yes.
That was close for me.
There we go. Magnum Tia versus Nikita Koloff, the best of 7.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
A lot of old school ones here. Jimmy Fallon versus Paul Jones.
Paul
Army.
Jones, you're gonna be a bald-headed geek.
Piper versus Snuka, and Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. What else we got? Tantalizing Tony. Okay, mix.
Who's he feuding with?
Everybody. No.
Also news just had something extra. Thank you, CR Media. Is that CR O'Malley? I don't know.
If you do the Patreon, you send some. We'll send some nudes to you. We have a bank. We've been working. We're working on that TTP calendar.
Yeah, there we go. WrestleMania 9 sucked. So
WrestleMania 9 was one of the not the bluff match, but the high point of the Doink Crush feud. They had their big match.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Brett versus pre-PCO.
Yeah, because he sold his
they
jacket.
feuded over a jacket. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We actually talked to PCO about that.
Yeah,
that was Sean Pierre Lafitte.
Love that guy. Yeah. God, I love me some PCO.
What if he was JPL? JPL.
A very wealthy pirate. Yeah.
Well, let's dive in to our feuds, our rivalries, whatever Vince-ism you want to use. And
I'm going to say feuds. I prefer feuds.
Yeah, in the business years ago, they would say a program. You know, you're getting in the program with this guy.
If it was really long, 2 or 3 months. If it was really long, it would be a marriage.
And full disclosure, if anyone wants to, when I say my feud, if you want to add stuff, because you guys are better at the history than I am.
But you don't have to. I don't know like exact matches unless they're real big, you know.
And then we'll say to also to why this feud to you means something.
Sure.
All right, we'll start with you, Mr. Header.
No, okay.
You're first.
So I was gonna pick one. I don't know if Brian was gonna pick this one. Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn.
It was close.
Yeah.
But
so
I want to talk about great match.
Yeah, when they there was just thrown about like they just wrestled each other one time at a random pay-per-view or something, and it was just like, I was really good. Holy shit! Like if this was on Dynamite this week, people would be like, wow, that was an awesome match, and they probably would get 5 stars. I don't know if Meltzer gave it back then. I was gonna look it up and see.
Probably 4 and change.
Yeah, if he was doing, because he was very stingy with the 5 stars back then. But yeah, every time Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn wrestled, then Rob Van Dam had the TV title. He never lost to Jerry Lynn. Because I think Jerry Lynn finally won it, but not.
Van Dam got hurt. Didn't he lose by getting hurt?
Yeah, and then I think Jerry Lynn did win it, but I forget who won it when Van Dam got hurt. Because he gave it up, and it was
Rhino had it for a little bit. Super Crazy had it for a little bit.
Yeah, Jerry Lynn did get it, and then when he came back, they did have more matches, and they were really good. So like all them pay-per-views from 98, 99.
Yeah, you can always count on like Van Dam had great matches with Jerry Lynn, Lance Storm.
Yeah, they were just so good. They were like the awesome AEW matches, like
very ahead of their time.
Yeah, of the time.
Shout out to the front row material.
So after Van Dam Super Crazy won it, then to Jerry Lynn never won it.
Yeah, I thought he was world champion
for a second. Yeah, never won it.
I think when he's they wrestled. No, I don't think he got to wrestle Van Dam when he's world champion.
I don't think so. Rhino, Kid Cash, Rhino again, and then Rhino was the last team.
Yeah, I have to brush up my ECW history.
I mean, some of the matches were like pay-per-view era. Some of them were very, very good matches, especially anything Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Once again, shout out to the front row material, Jerry Lynn's podcast.
Oh, is that? Okay. And when Jerry Lynn would take the pile driver and pop up like a Tommy Dreamer, and they do the one thing where he got Rob Van Dam in the what's the surfboard, and then he'd pop Rob Van Dam up out of that,
and just the near fall spots.
Now, what about
the multiple pins? Yeah, like he would say, like they would do like Schoolboy and then float over, and then the match is straw, and they would go, and the ref would be like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and then the kill out would just turn.
And then the ref would get gassed.
Yeah, they're like ECW, because there was no This Is Wrestling then, and there was no This Is Awesome yet.
Yeah. What about that feud? Like always sticks with you. Like obviously you said some key moments in the match, but for you personally, like what about that? Resonates that out of all the feuds in the world that this makes your list.
I mean, it was back then. It was because I wasn't really watching New Japan, so it was like the New Japan main event. Like this is the match you gotta watch. This is the best match. The high work rate match.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it stuck out. Just really, really good.
Nice
matches. That's why I don't know. I just remember Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam. Everyone back then that was like
there wasn't a huge story behind it.
No,
but the matches
there wasn't.
Were...
And the promos were all. Jerry Lynn's not really a promo guy, so they're mainly Rob Van Dam and Fonzie.
Yeah.
And
so the work rate got you.
Yeah, because Rob Van Dam like, I'm gonna smoke your ass, Jerry Lynn. You know that's Fonzie, but then Rob Van Dam like, yeah, man, and Jerry Lynn like, beat you, and come out the death metal, and I don't know, matches is so good. Go back and watch it.
They were. You would like these people. Oh, there's gonna be Van Dam and Lynn. This is gonna be so good.
Yeah, and they would give him time, like 20 minutes.
Yeah, the two pay-per-views
drivers on the chair, cradle pile driver
on the show were rough.
Oh, they were pre-pay-per-view. That was like ECW arena shows.
Yeah,
boy,
that was more like the storytelling was the pinnacle, but. by then, like Van Dam in the ring and Lynn and Landstorm, they had guys like way back when they had guys like Benoit was there for a little bit and
Jericho,
Malenko, Guerrero, Ray.
Yeah. Well, we do have a lot of new listeners, I think, are just kind of coming into the channel for the first time. And like I said, feedback really helps, right? So the only thing I really have when it comes to feedback on the show is numbers, right? So this show does well, this show doesn't. So we're like, oh, maybe this isn't what people like, but we don't really hear much. We personally really enjoy doing, not so much, it's not a watch along, but we do a review of an old show, recaps of old shows. But the numbers don't look very good on those episodes. If it's something you want us to keep doing, please let us know. If not, maybe we move on. People seem to like the history topics. All the reviews we have getting is like, hey, I learned something I didn't know before. And that's cool that we like that we bring on not just our panel, but other people like Ryan Vox and other people in the business who may give you some insight to things you didn't know existed at that point in time too. So like I said, feedback's always helpful. Those reviews do help, but we do want to we still want to keep review shows. And then I think on the side, myself and Brian are going to be doing extra review shows that we're going to be doing more like independent stuff. So we're both going to watch like an IWTV or maybe a promotion that's on YouTube and review the show and say like, oh man, this person stood out. This was good. We do have our first one lined up, which is going to be a Chikara episode, our Chikara show that happened in Goodfellas in Pottsville, which is awesome to me. And the fact that this roster of people who wrestled that night was in our hometown. And well, I didn't know about it.
Not really hometown.
Well, where you live now.
Hometown.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't know about, you don't know about it.
Yeah, it was rough, and it's one of those things. If I can go back in a time machine, that might be.
I wasn't living here yet. I was in New Jersey.
It might be one of those things. If I had a time machine, I'd go back.
I was in New Jersey watching Ring of Honor at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
There you go.
I saw those guys there.
Yeah, son of a bitch. I didn't see any of those guys.
So before we move on, there's also a spot that like I would call it in wrestling matches. People are like, oh yeah, not so much newer guys because they just don't know it. When you say, okay, we'll do this, we'll go move for move, we'll be Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn, and that's when you do move, double drop kick, face off.
Yep.
That was the big thing that they would do.
You used it a lot.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Where'd I get that
I've heard
from?
it called the indie standoff.
Yeah. It did after a while because newer people come up didn't see it. They don't know. I mean, I'm sure there was two guys in the territories that did it.
Yeah, I've seen you. I've
done it
pull that off
times.
You pull it off a bunch of times.
And I go, Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn. And they go, okay.
I love that.
That's what it is.
See that's
oh my God, we can't beat each other.
And that gets the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately grab.
You gotta watch some of these matches. You would love it.
I think you and Quay just recently did it.
I think we did.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to pull out of people here is like, especially as a worker, like what have you pulled from these matches or rivalries?
Much.
Yeah.
Well, my finisher comes from Nova, but
it's exciting.
Yeah.
That was a good tidbit. I like that.
Rob Van Dam, I think at that time, 98, 99, Rob Van Dam was one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. And probably Jerry Lynn wasn't far behind.
CR Media says, is Tony drinking fucking Yingling? Yes, I am. Not only am I drinking Yingling, I'm drinking Chetty.
He might not know who that is. I live in Pottsville, the home of Yingling. So it's a local beer here. Like
it's literally 3 blocks away from my house.
Yeah, Brian can.
Yeah, we're right by Yingling. He lives in shit.
That's a horrible.
I want to say
live.
Seattle.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Yeah. So for us,
I was on his podcast a couple times.
Oh, wow,
So every night, they do a bunch of different shows. CR Media on Twitch. They do. Let me pull them back up so people see everything. Kansas City. That's it. I'm sorry, not Seattle.
Wow.
Kansas City. Chiefs fan. Chiefs fan.
Kansas City,
sorry.
Kansas or
What's wrong
Kansas
with that?
City, Missouri.
Nothing wrong with the Chiefs.
No, I'm saying that's where it's clicking again. I remember he's a Chiefs fan. They do like a sports talk one. They do a bunch of cool content, and then every Wednesday night after Dynamite, they do a wrap-up show on Twitch, and they invite their guests to come in and talk. And he's invited me a couple times, and they're really, really cool people. And he says, I'm from Kansas City, and we don't get Yingling. And even if you did get Yingling, I guarantee you're not getting Chetty. Chetty's almost like you
barely get Chetty here.
It's a regional exclusive kind of this area. It's my favorite. But anyway, thank you for recognizing Chetty living in Kansas City.
How about that?
Gave me a little bit of a
I lived across the brewery
my jeans got a little tight for a second.
Most of my life, and I walked out my front door and seen it every single day.
Man, he doesn't drink beer. But you wrestled at a brew fest.
I did. Yeah.
We'll talk about that towards the end. All right, Austin.
So
your first?
Yeah, the first feud I have is the first feud I remember.
Oh,
it's the first feud that I actually vividly.
Get ready to feel old, everyone.
Yeah. So I was born in 2000, and this feud takes place.
2000, the new millennium.
I was 17.
Yeah.
So this feud, it was also the first wrestling event I ever went to.
Oh wow!
And also includes the first time I ever really thought, hey, maybe I don't like the baby faces. Maybe I don't like the good guys. Maybe I like what the bad guys do.
I fell into that very early too.
2000. We have to guess it.
All right.
It's it's WWF. WWE.
I know his list, so I
It's
can't
not
say it.
WCW. I didn't see your list. I have no idea.
I don't remember your list.
Well, if it's a bad guy, it has to involve The Rock.
Nope, it's
No, The
later
Rock
than
was a
that.
babyface in 2000.
It's past 2000. I was born in 2000.
Yeah.
But it's the first feud
okay,
I'm like fully conscious for.
Okay. What can you give us a year?
So that'd be like,
06.
okay.
One of my favorite years for a lot of different reasons.
And John Cena, Randy Orton.
Close.
John Cena,
Edge.
JBL.
Yeah, John Cena Edge.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank God it wasn't JBL.
Yeah. Oh, they did have a really good.
That was when you did that. You had RVD Cena at One Night Stand, and Edge spears Cena, and the ECW crowd that hated Edge in the match before because he was teaming with anti-hardcore Mick Foley against Funk and Dreamer. They're yelling "Thank you, Edge" because he speared Cena and helped Van Dam win the
That was a
ECW
fun show to
title.
watch.
Yeah, they were both the One Night Stands.
So the
Don't watch any other ECW that WWE put on.
Yeah, don't. It don't happen.
Skip everything else.
The first live event that I ever went to is the Raw. I believe it's in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Where Edge and Lita have their live sex. celebration.
Oh wow.
And your mom let you stay a wrestling fan. Good for her.
Yeah, that was a family function. All four of us were there.
Front row, got to see your
What are
first.
they doing?
We were way
got to see your first boob.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least it was Lita's.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it wasn't like if you were in the 80s. That's
My question:
Fabulous Moolah.
why did they legit get undressed underneath that?
I mean, MTV era things were like they were pushing the back.
You could tell
Yeah,
she was
again.
not comfortable doing it.
Yeah,
No,
she's
not at
come out and
all.
said she was. Yeah.
But
I would
there's
have been like, "Give me pasties." And I'm not taking mine.
Yeah, Sable got pasties.
I don't think she took her underwear off.
Well, didn't they throw the underwear out?
I think she. Well,
They
could
probably
have
had another pair of
bra.
underwear under it.
That
I
would've
think
been a
she
smart
did have
thing
her
to do.
bra off.
Yeah, her bra definitely was off.
Yeah, there's
'cause
no need to do that.
Her top was exposed on live TV.
Yeah.
Ed should just pull his dick out. And look at this.
Everyone's like, "Oh, we thought it was better."
Mike the Bad.
Yeah. That's what you got to be well hung if you're gonna whip out national TV.
That's not the Impaler.
So the two matches that really stood out for me, I think the first one that happens is their SummerSlam match. The finish to the match is like Lita's up on the ropes. She tries to get involved again in the match and throws brass knuckles in for Edge. John Cena then goes over to the ref and to Lita and is like, "Yo, what's going on?"
Yeah, do you have any memory of like Edge cashing in the Money in the Bank, or is that before your time?
Yes, no, I actually do. So that's New Year's Revolution.
Yeah,
Wow,
that was
that's
earlier.
So yeah, that's right at the beginning of my memory of Vince being like, "Hey, guess what? This night's not over." And Cena kicks out of the first spear. Yeah, that's a very fun
Is Edge
show.
like? Is that Edge your first guy? Like your first favorite wrestler?
No, I'll get to my first favorite
Okay.
wrestler. But so him hitting Cena in the back of the head with the brass knucks and getting the win. I sat there and I was like, "Yo, that kind of ruled." I was like, you know what? I really liked that. It made sense for what he did there.
When I took a break from wrestling, it was around this time, and I remember I was an Edge guy. I mean, I liked Edge with the Edge and Christian, and then I stopped watching wrestling. And I'm like, "What is even going on in wrestling right now?" Because the internet was not huge. Like it was there, but no one really used it. Like we were still the generation that went outside and played.
Wait, when was this?
Like
06.
Oh, the internet was huge in 06. You just
we just didn't use it. Like
yeah.
I mean, you have a computer. Like
most of my high school,
now
like
we're born with a computer.
yeah, most of my high school, the internet was there, but no one gave a shit about it.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Like you could play online video games, but I didn't start playing online video games till like 2007, 2008 because A, I couldn't afford good internet, and B, I couldn't afford a gaming system. But yeah, everything was kind of still like not connected as line as it was now. So everyone's like, "Well," I'm like, "What's going on with wrestling?" And they're like, "Edge is the world champion." I'm like, "The tag team, dude?" Like I was like,
Oh,
Mr. Shawn Michaels is weirded out that the tag team.
I guess when I seen Edge and Christian as a tag team, I thought, "Oh man, these are going to be tag team legends
You're
forever."
setting my feuds up perfectly.
I just never really separated him as like a solo guy, and then going back and watching his stuff as a solo, I'm like, this guy was he got it. Like he figured it out quick.
The Matt Hardy feud helped a lot with Matt like accidentally getting busted
It helped Edge.
fuck open in one of their matches, and it's like, oh, okay, Edge is legit.
And real life always makes good rivalries.
Yeah.
It's funny. There was one match where, like, you know what? Edge is really great. He's great. I never appreciated Edge properly, and that was a match against Del Rio, and the next night he retired from me.
Yeah. His matches with Taker, like the Hell in a Cell at a SummerSlam is really good. Their
I
TLC
missed a lot of that
matches
stuff.
is real fun, and that's what I grew up.
I
with,
was
so.
working like third shift, and I just missed a lot of pay-per-views at that point.
I did miss pay-per-views too because that's like you had to buy them. There was no network then.
Yeah.
So then the culmination, at this point for me of this feud is Edge is champion at this point, has the Rated R spinning title, and Edge is like, you know what? I'm gonna pull the ultimate card. I'm going to defend my title in a TLC match that I've never lost in, and it's going to happen in Toronto at Unforgiven, my home turf. And Cena wins. And Cena still gets like originally like the crowd starts out booing him. Oh my God. The finish to the match, I remember the gear. Edge is wearing like his blue rated R gear, and they're at the top of the ladder, and John Cena hits him with the FU through 2
I think I've seen clips of the finish, but never the whole match.
Oh my God.
And also, another of when you came into watching WWF is what you call John Cena's finishing move.
Yeah.
Like he said FU, I say FU. And
Yeah.
some people, they come later, they go, hey. Yeah, I'm like,
I go based on
fuck out of here.
I go based on the time period.
Yeah.
What if you call it the fireman's carry?
Yeah, I just say FU, and that's why I call it John Cena now. When I do.
It looks so cheesy, but like
It is.
as you look at it, you're like,
It's
what
easy.
what a simple, easy finish to get done. And it looks great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first feud. Because
Bring back the back
That's a good
rake.
one.
We need back rake finisher.
It's the first feud that I remember. It's the first wrestling event that I went to, and it was the first time I was like, maybe the bad guy has an idea here that I like.
Like it.
Edge was cooler than John Cena too. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. John Cena was riding that like military kind of deal at that point.
For a cool factor, like you want that like metal guy that's banging the chick that has
the
the hot chick,
MTV
or do you want
guy.
like the guy that's kind of like pro USA military guy?
Yep.
Like, and that was kind of passe at that point already. Like,
Yeah.
with
And
Sergeant
he had cool
Slaughter.
music, right?
Yeah,
Hit Rob Zombie.
No, he had his
No Metalingus at this point.
Yeah, at that point,
okay. Yeah. Awesome. That's a good one. I like that.
Thank you.
I do enjoy listening to Austin's takes on wrestling because he does come from a completely different generation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think you bring some cool
What if he
stuff to the
was
table.
like, I liked fucking Harley Race
Well,
and Ric Flair's stuff.
The one that I'm surprised no one brought up in the chat is Bret Owen.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I almost did.
Because I'm
Um,
sucker for Bob Backlund.
I think
Brett,
if Owen would have had more of a
I think Owen should have won the title, not
Yeah,
that.
I think if Owen would have had more of a push,
Yeah.
I would have picked it too.
One of the things I did not pick was Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage for the same reason I didn't pick, and that's even worse. I didn't pick Bret Owen, and I'm going to completely contradict myself with the actual thing I did pick because the one guy never won a match in this feud, but he got heat. He got a lot of heat. But no, so Hogan, Savage, and Bret Owen. My whole thing was like, well, Owen won that first match at WrestleMania 10, and then he didn't really win anything else.
Yeah.
Should I go to mine now? Oh.
Yeah.
Somebody else said that match too. for
Hogan,
the,
Hogan,
TLC match.
Mancho and Brett and Owen always both felt like, okay, we'll have a rivalry, but you never even believed in 1 second that they were ever going to get the upper hand on the bigger guy. You know what I mean? Like even when like as a kid, I was like Monster Man's champion. I was like until Hogan comes back.
Well, Hogan was there. Just like when John Cena, they always have their golden boys, except for maybe now they're not
Yeah.
going to. But
It's gonna be interesting.
yeah.
It'll be interesting how this plays out now. We'll talk about that.
Oh, they're gonna have their golden boy. Oh, he's coming. He's coming back.
Ugh. It's gonna be weird that Triple H is gonna be the guy who pushes him too. After all the shit he talked.
Yeah.
Remember when you smashed my chair, you fuck?
That would be funny. They have him go out in the main event.
And Triple H just goes and cracks him with his
Remember when you
Cody
smashed
might
my
have some not receipts, but he might have to do some stuff he might not want to do for.
Remember when you smashed my chair? Yeah. Superman punch 2 minutes.
The only thing is that kind of has I like that Cody's there. I think Cody and WWE is fun times, but I think Cody under Vince would have been unfucking bearable to watch.
Who knows? What
He
it
would
would've been.
he would literally they would have brought down Tommy guns and they would have done like the
Oh,
Godfather.
like John Cena at WrestleMania 21.
Yeah, they would have done the Godfather
CM Punk was
fucking
there.
toll booth scene where they would have shot fucking and filled him with bullets and he still would have kicked out at 2. You know what I mean? Like now under Triple H, maybe we have something a little different.
Maybe.
It would be interesting.
Go ahead, Brian, you're first.
So yeah, just and I just realized like one person in this feud never won a match. There were only really 2 matches besides house shows because this was during the house show era. So I'm going back to when I was 6 and I'm old, so that was 1989. And this is when I discovered that there was more to the world than the WWF, and I started stumbling on. I guess it was still NWA, even though they called the show World Championship Wrestling. And I was 6. I still believed. I wasn't totally smart
I
yet.
didn't believe. I still believe.
Yeah.
True that. It's still rubbing me dead.
There was only one wrestler that scared me. I was never scared at that point of like DiBiase or Savage or even Zeus because this was just a cartoon.
Yeah.
I was fucking scared of Terry Funk.
Really?
I was He branded people. He had a branding iron and would scar people with his goddamn branding iron.
Yeah, I remember my dad, like, he used to go to the ECW shows all the time, and he was there with his friend Larry and Larry's son, who was like a legitimate child, branding iron right by his face.
Yes. Terry Funk was a scary guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't huge. He wasn't on steroids, but he looked like he was a crazy person. He would kill somebody if you couldn't rein him in too much.
Jake was my guy. I was afraid of snakes. I think I'm afraid of snakes because
But
of Jake
Jake was
Roberts.
a babyface in '89. It was a thing.
Just snakes. Dude, the Macho Man bite on the arm fucked me up.
Well, this was late. By that time, I was I knew the deal.
Yeah.
But look, I was 8 by that point. I knew what was going on.
He's getting an observer.
I was with it. Yeah.
He was on the message board.
In 1991. Yeah, I was on Usenet. But no, it's Ric Flair and Terry Funk. Great feud. Ric Flair just turns babyface exclusively for this feud. So Ric Flair beats Ricky Steamboat, which that also almost made my list. Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat.
I'm shocked.
I kind of came in at the tail end of this. I came in at the tail end of that. So after Ric Flair beats Ricky Steamboat to win back the NWA title, Terry Funk is one of the he was a judge, right? Because he was also a commentator for a little bit.
And he had his tuxedo on.
He was a commentator for the match at the Clash, the second Flair Steamboat match.
How many retirements are we in at this point?
If I still was an active wrestler, I sure would like to.
So he was already he was on his fourth or fifth retirement.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think he first retired in 1985.
No, it was before I was born. Yeah. It was before I was born. I'm almost 40.
He retired in 1985, and he was on the
Wrestled for 30 more years. Forever.
I fucking love Terry Funk.
So
Terry Funk's the reason why we never believe in retirement.
Exactly. Probably. I still call it a Terry Funk retirement.
Anytime someone comes out and they retire, I'm like,
The Mark Henry one.
Yeah. And even when Edge did it, but it was for real, I'm like, yeah, right. He'll be back next week.
Yeah, right. He's not King.
He'll be back in 20 years, but
yeah.
So Terry Funk, after Flair wins the title, he comes in. He's like, "Oh, Rick, I would love a title shot. I know there's a top 10, but I would really like it if you gave old Terry a title shot."
Sure would like
and he's like, "Terry, there's a top 10. You're a great wrestler. You were a great champion." He's doing I appreciate what you've done, but you have to work your way up the ladder. And he's, "Oh, okay, Rick, that's." And then he just beats the hell out of Ric Flair. Pile drives him on a table, not through a table, on a table. Ric Flair's basically dead now. Ric Flair gets carted out. You see him. They're like, Ric Flair's probably never going to wrestle again. And like they make you believe it. Like Ric Flair showing in a hospital bed, his neck is being hung up in one of those like traction things. It's incredible.
It was very good. If you go back and watch that pay-per-view, just watch that end. It's awesome.
And what show was that?
That's Great American Bash 89 or Wrestle War 89.
Okay.
Bash 89 is where they have their first match. And Flair wins. But even before that,
CR Media says Chainsaw Charlie gave me the heebie-jeebies.
God,
he did. He freaked me out.
He came out of the box. He got over it.
Is there a Chainsaw Charlie action figure?
It's got to be.
There has to be with the fucking sock on its face.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest, you can really appreciate Funk as a promo. I didn't even know it until later, but Funk and Lawler I almost put on there for the empty arena match where there's my eye. Terry Funk was so good. I love when they're talking about who's the best of all time, Shawn versus Bret Hart. Well, the correct answer is Terry Funk. But and
there it is.
So there's this one thing, and it's in the danger zone.
It's like $800.
So there's Chainsaw Charlie.
The Luna version of that is really expensive.
It's listed for 80.
Yeah, it's 70 to 80.
I saw Chainsaw Charlie wrestle live.
I didn't see Chainsaw Charlie. I see Terry Funk wrestle.
I saw Terry Funk wrestle live a few times, but
Terry Funk's the rereason why we weren't allowed to have wrestling in high schools anymore. In our area,
one of the Pitbulls was the reason they couldn't have it by me. But in this interview, they go, he's like the fans are or the people are chanting, "We want Flair," and they're not even really chanting. He just gets them to chant up and say, "We want Flair," and eventually it just turns up to, "I want Flair," and it's so good.
Like the "We Want Dallas" chant.
Yeah, but no, he gets them chanting like "We want Flair" because we want Flair to come out there and confront him. He's like, "No, I want Flair."
Yeah,
bring him on. I'll put him in the hospital again. I'll end his career for real this time.
I love that.
And then then they form the J-Tex Corporation, which is him and Great Muta. They actually had 3 matches, and Flair's team won them all because they had that one, and then you had Halloween Havoc, which was when I might be getting my order wrong here, but I think this was the next one. It was when Sting and Ric Flair beat the Great Muta and Funk. And then you had the infamous I Quit match, which was excellent. And it's non-title, even though Flair's a champion. And it's an I Quit match where finally Funk quits, and that's the end of the feud. And another retirement. But yeah, it was the first time only time I think ever that I bought a heel.
It is very good if you watch that when when Terry Funk turns on him.
I'll probably watch this.
That whole feud is a masterpiece.
I sure would. It would be very nice if you.
That's why I'm writing down the show.
So you want to see for this feud? You want to see Wrestle War 89. You want to see Great American Bash 89.
Look at you with the shows. I should have did that too.
Halloween Havoc 89. I didn't do this beforehand.
Oh.
I'm looking up what Clash of the Champions you want to watch. You want to see Clash of the Champions 9, New York Knockout is the I Quit match. 8, I believe, is where they have the promo with Flair in the hospital bed, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, those are the big shows.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right, I will go to my first one here. I won't be super long, just because
I will be.
because I want to make sure everyone's all their time to get in, and I'm not. When it comes to memory, I don't remember every single match in City, and you guys are way better at that than I am. But all of my rivalries are all stemmed around a certain time frame period of professional wrestling,
That's fine.
and they all stem in Spiderweb from a certain star. Sorry, I'm a Sean fucking Mark.
It's Goldberg.
Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. Great
No,
feud.
they're not all going to be Sean feuds.
Shawn
But
Michaels and Triple H. versus
Sean
Undertaker
is
and
connected
Kane.
to all these feuds in
The
some way.
Rockers versus Power and Glory.
Sean
So
versus Marty.
My first one that was said in the chat, and it was deemed as an underrated one. I will say, you want to talk about a heel that I bought into? I watched his debut. I watched the main character's debut, and then seeing this character's debut. I remember being more attached to this new character's debut than I was the original characters. I'm gonna say my rivalry, my number 3 rivalry, is gonna be the Undertaker versus Kane.
Okay.
Gotta be Kane.
The first time Kane's music hit, and they built that up, that your brother's still alive.
I forget if it's Vince or Triple H, but one of them deemed it the greatest story ever told in WWE.
That's
No,
the,
that's-
that's Mega Powers Explode.
Savage Elizabeth, but yeah, Mega Power.
It was really good. It was really good.
It was good.
The your brother's still alive, and then Sean is in the.
It got too soap opera-y, I think,
Yeah.
where like,
Oh, it was very
oh,
soap opera.
I really did it, and then they dug up the
Oh,
parents
your
and brought them-
father.
Yeah, Paul Bearer's really the father, and Kane's not really scarred. Even though one time they had Kane unmasked, but his back was to the camera, and everybody was horrified. But then later, he's not scarred.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the RVD turn?
Well, the RVD turn is when he unmasks for real. But way before that, in the Attitude Era, they do a thing where like the corporation has like abducted Kane, and they rip his mask off, and the only people who can see him are like Briscoe and Patterson. They act like they're about to throw up from looking at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was just black. So
Like Cabal's
realistically,
fatality.
the unmasking
No
of Kane could have been one of the biggest disappointments in WWE history. But the idea of their rivalry and just going on just their entire career, where they were
Oh yeah, it was
where they're a tag team, then they're not, and then he turns on them, and just the idea of just bringing Kane into it.
And
Was
the way that they're able to interweave real wrestlers into Undertaker and Kane's world and
Yeah.
out and get it back to the story of Undertaker. versus
and the reason why I said it's Spiderwebs for me off of Sean is because Kane's debut is Bad Blood.
Yeah.
The first ever Hell in a Cell. Sean's going for the believe the title, right? It's a title match.
It's a contendership match.
Yeah.
Sean won that match to get the title shot at Survivor Series.
Yes,
Screw
that's
job
what it was.
happened, Yeah.
And he's just getting fucked. I don't just watch it like he's not beating the
And
Undertaker.
it's a storyline between two characters, two what you would call gimmicks that lasted for decades.
Yes.
That never happens in wrestling.
When you
happen for both.
When you talk about characters or gimmicks, and you talk about the top 3 of all time, your third can change. You know, everyone's third is different. But if your number 1 and 2 aren't Undertaker 1, Kane 2,
Kane's 3 for me.
really?
Yeah.
Who's your 2?
Repo Man.
Oh, legitimately Kane's number 2, but Repo Man just because you think he's awesome.
I love Repo Man.
He is awesome. I will
I
agree.
got to talk to Smash about Repo Man. It was great.
Yeah, I see your little
Yeah.
gleam in your eyes. It was awesome. But yes, Kane and Undertaker are on the top of the list right there for just characters, and their rivalry just span across both their careers. And I'm sorry if they walked out in an arena right now in full gimmick and they both did the arm raise, everybody fucking cries a little bit inside. You know,
Maybe not Kane so much right now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, Kane, they might be a little
No, but you
upset
get
about
the,
his
you
mom.
get the arm up.
even
the
if you're a
lightning.
super politic person and Kane comes out in the mask, you're like, all right, I'm gonna separate everything for a second.
maybe that's not Mayor Kane.
Yeah. If he comes out in a mask, if
Yeah.
Kane walked out tomorrow with a mask on, you'd be like,
About time you're wearing a mask, Glenn.
exactly. See,
I get that fake Kane back.
yeah, love that to death. That's
Dude,
my
biscuits and gravy.
that's my number 3 is Undertaker.
That's a
and
great
Kane.
feud. Underrated feud too, kind of adjacent to that. Undertaker versus Mankind was an
Yeah.
incredible,
Mm-hmm.
incredible feud.
But that was the first Inferno match
Dude,
too. Mankind.
I
or
could have.
Undertaker
I
and
could have.
Kane.
I was so torn on picking 3 Sean feuds or 3
Yeah.
Mick Foley feuds because a lot of Mick Foley feuds at the time fucking grabbed me too. When Mick feuded with Tripp, when Mick feuded with Undertaker, when Mick feuded with fuck, I'm having a brain fart.
Steve
The
Austin.
Rock.
Yeah, The Rock, and then he became tag team Steve. Like Mick, fucking like Shawn and Mick in that era were my favorites.
Corporate dude love too.
Oh my god, I love it.
And you got to remember, Undertaker was kind of spinning his wheels a little bit in like 94, 95.
Mhm.
Like, Purple Glove Undertaker is like the worst Undertaker era.
Yeah, he looks cool.
And then he has a good short feud with Diesel, but it's really short. It's like 2 months long because Diesel's leaving. And then he has a great feud with Mankind. And that dovetails right into a great feud with Kane the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Boiler Room Brawl, Buried Alive.
Yeah. Here's a question. We talk about Taker being one of the greatest of all time. Does Kane resurge Taker as a character? Like, you think he may have been getting a little flat and then Kane resurged him?
It certainly helped.
It's definitely good for the story of
I mean, he had,
Yeah.
yeah.
It gave him
I give him his
Death.
Joker to his
Yeah.
Batman, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Andy.
I think Mankind
Yes.
is what gave Undertaker a shot at
I'll agree with that too. Yeah, up
more than
100%.
anything.
All right, Andy. Number 2.
Now we're going back to ECW. I'm not picking Brian.
Back to ECW.
Back to ECW.
Oh, Andy knows what I'm picking, so he's
Because
saving it
this
for
one
me.
was built up for
Is
a
this the
while.
one you're gonna cross here?
No, Andy knows what I'm
No.
picking. So.
Oh.
And it finally, the big match was the first pay-per-view. What better place to have the first
yeah.
barely
Well,
legal?
real quick, Mike D, you said Repo Man equals Smash Demolition. I don't know if you were here early, but we do have a video coming very soon, that courtesy of the Legends of Hamburg Fieldhouse, where Action Smash did a fan Q&A, and I'm going to tell you right now, they were not shy when answering questions.
Oh,
They
no,
they
they're
tell
great.
you the whole history. Audio may be a little tough because they just mic issues and just the way we had it mic'd. We were rushed to get it, but we got whatever we could.
Yeah.
So audio quality, we'll try our best to make it clear. But trust me, if you're a fan of those guys, you're going to learn a lot about them, because that Q&A was really
It was
good.
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
1997, barely legal. ECW Arena, the first pay-per-view. When we finally get one of the biggest pro matches, when maybe kind of was the more so the main event. Taz versus Sabu.
Oh, no,
They-
Shane Douglas Pitbull too.
No.
Oh.
No, it was actually BWO versus
Michinoku Pro.
yeah,
BWO Japan versus Michinoku
There you go.
Pro.
Cactus Jack, Eddie Gilbert from TNA pre-ECW.
TWA.
TWA, sorry, TWA.
I didn't see it, but I was probably pretty
They
good.
had one of the original 3 stages of hell thing where they had like a 2 out of 3 falls match, but I think it was like through the night, and like they had like different gimmicks throughout the way. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get back to it.
It was the big one of the big attractions for the pay-per-view was Taz versus Sabu. I think they did wrestle a couple times before then.
And they were a tag team for
Yeah,
a long
yeah.
time.
And
that's-
injuries kind of put a
Well,
lot
Yeah,
of this
with that,
rivalry.
it was-
Benoit gave Sabu the back
Yeah.
suplex, and he landed on his broke his neck, and he
And
was out for a while.
Taz messed up his neck in Florida.
Yeah,
Well, Sabu and the Tasmaniac may have wrestled before,
Yeah.
but not Sabu and Taz. Taz was a completely different character.
yeah.
Completely
That's kind of let's
different
get rid of that
character.
sports entertainment. Now you're just a badass and you're miserable.
Do you
Yeah.
remember how they introduced him as that character?
Taz?
Yeah. I'll never forget this.
I know I don't.
They had, I don't remember who was in the match, but they had a super technical match. And on the call, it was always Joey Styles calling the matches solo in ECW.
Goat.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's a
But
goat.
Joey Styles is like, for this match, because it's going to be so technical and such, it might have been even Malenko and Guerrero or something like that when they were there. He's like, I'm going to have somebody calling this match with me. And they just say it's Peter Sinercha. And he was like this judo champion. They go through all these like legit credentials. And at the very end, they're like, as I was saying, I was joined by Peter Sinercha, but you may know him better as Taz. And they show us the Tasmaniac, who before this was like this caveman looking guy who never talked.
Yeah, and had like
And now you see he's like, he knows
greasy,
all the stuff
shaggy
about like
hair.
legit fighting. And that kind of guides him into being like, they sold Taz as a 100% legit shooter.
yeah.
Taz was one of those dudes in ECW that like I knew of ECW, but I didn't watch it very. Rob Van Dam and Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, the 3 guys you think when you think
Sandman.
ECW.
Raven.
Sandman, yeah, but Sandman was more like he was entertaining, but
I thought
Well,
he was
yeah,
gonna
he's
go
not a good
Sandman
wrestler.
yeah,
Raven.
I didn't give a shit about his wrestling. See, I didn't know Raven in ECW. I more knew Raven in WCW.
Yeah, he because Raven took Sandman's like little kid, like 7-year-old kid, and turned him against the Sandman, and he joined Raven's flock. He's like, Daddy, you're a drunk.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm with Raven.
Yeah.
But when
Just the Raven
Taz
pose.
when Taz was doing the suplex machine shit, I was
Yeah.
like, this.
Yeah,
dude's
because
fucking
that's right when
sick.
UFC was just taking off
They
when it
even-
was UFC
yeah.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3.
What do
4.
they call it when you is it the capture suplex where you put like his leg almost on your
full
shoulder?
Cradle Tazplex.
Oh,
Everything was Tazplex. Full cradle,
Tazplex.
head and arm.
when I would create characters in wrestling games,
Mhm.
I literally would every single move would be some type of suplex.
I believe Powerhouse Hobbs does that one.
Yeah,
I think Hook does it too, probably.
yeah, I would just every move was a suplex because of Taz. I just love the fact that he just suplexed.
Yeah, it was suplexes and then choke out.
Yeah,
They even brought in Paul Varlin, who was like a early UFC guy. He fought like Marco Uas and Oleg Tiktarov and Tank Abbott, and they brought him in and he lost to Taz. I think we told this during the podcast before. The way they got him to agree to lose to Taz. Great. Missy Hyatt was still there. And Missy Hyatt basically said that she would sleep with Paul Varlins if he went out there and lost to Taz. And then when he came back to the back,
she was gone.
She was gone. And then he saw her in Vegas, and he was like, she was like, "Oh, I don't date jabronis."
Missy Hyatt's the GOAT.
I know.
That's such a cool move. Anyway, Andy, about this feud.
I looked up here. So Taz was calling out Sabu because Sabu apparently no-showed a three-way match that he's supposed to be in.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Taz and Sabu no-show. And that's like, you'll never see Sabu in ECW again. They had to get Rick Steiners as a partner.
Yeah, so Taz keeps calling him. I might have even heard so maybe. But anyway, he calls him out.
I think he took another book.
Okay.
And that was around the time with the WCW.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's calling him out. And then, like, he's finally beating the shit out of people. I have it here. And then finally Taz T-bone suplex, or T-bone Taz plexes Paul Heyman, Paul E back then, and the locker. And what is it? And he locks on the Taz mission, and then guess what happens?
Lights go out.
Oh yeah,
the lights go. So, this is the big first. Lights go out. It's Sabu, and lights come back on. It's Sabu, and then they just look at each other, and they don't actually wrestle. They don't do nothing.
They don't need to.
But that was the first, like, and then it became a trope. And Conway likes. But when lights would go out from 90
such different styles,
from 97 to 2010, people like, it's Sabu.
If you remember, the lights went out of PPW at one time during the meet and greet, like when the winner. And I yelled, "Sabu's here!"
Yeah. Oh yeah. I still do it now. People, depending when you grew up. So that led up to the match at Barely Legal, and they finally they're gonna lock horns, and the match was really good. And it's Taz.
How many times did they wrestle?
Not too many.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Sabu left not that long after that.
Yeah.
He teamed with Van Dam for a while.
It's so crazy because they're
dangerously
polar opposite of styles.
Yeah.
And they did a double turn. Like that night, Taz turned babyface and Sabu turned heel and joined Bill Alfonso.
Yeah, because Bill Alfonso was Team Taz back then. And Team Taz manager. And then he takes off the Taz shirt, or the Taz shirt.
Ryan says that's when Sabu went to New Japan, or Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he went to New Japan. He probably went to like big,
FMW.
Yeah, FMW or Big Japan or something like that. Yeah, for a little bit. But Taz wins, but then they turn on him, and then that's when Fonzie and Sabu and RVD.
Yeah, and that's how Sabu and Van Dam.
And they start their whole thing.
Yeah.
Group. So that was the main. They wrestled again at Living Dangerously '99, and then they had a final match that was on TNN, but it's only like 5 minutes, so it wasn't that great of a match. But the big one's the barely legal one. Yeah. It's the way they built it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they built that match for over a year.
I think they even had a shirt. Yeah, so it was almost like Sting Hogan. So they're finally gonna wrestle. Taz gets his hands on Sabu. So, and then they show the clips of Sabu like getting his neck broken and stuff. Like, can he withstand the suplexes? He had a broken neck. So it was really good.
Love it. Austin, number 2. Take us back to 2000s era.
Yeah, so the way I have this, I didn't know which one I wanted to go with, 1 or 2, but I'm just going to go in chronological order. So we're going from 06. I'm going to make a pit stop in 07 just to mention Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero, because it's a little bit at this point after Eddie has died, and they wrestle an I Quit match.
Yeah, and they're trying to really push Chavo because, like, well, we can't have Eddie, but we have something that's almost as good.
I always liked Chavo. He just unfortunately never got that break.
Oh, yeah. Watching those matches back, I now actually appreciate his character work of being like he's actually related to him, and he's got the reason to be
like mad. He has charisma, he has in-ring ability, he just never clicked with a mainstream audience.
It's hard that when people are like, well, you're not Eddie. Well, nobody is.
Sucks.
So,
Sucks for him.
And you were just Kerwin White like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But after 07, we go into 2008, and now I'll mention my favorite wrestler, or my first favorite wrestler. Probably one of my first words ever is Jericho. So Chris Jericho, my original favorite wrestler. Before I even understood the concept of good guys and bad guys, it was, oh my God, that guy rules. He had but anyway, so he had recently just returned and had short hair for the first time, like
Bon
Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi on the gas, Chris Jericho. Yeah.
It's always a bad move when the wrestler cuts his hair.
Well, I think it led to
Usually,
This was a good era for Jericho.
yeah, it led to my favorite era of Chris Jericho.
I'm just saying, Sean.
Might be my second
Sean
favorite.
Schoolboy haircut, Elimination Chamber. Oh boy.
Yeah. So Jericho is a babyface at this point. He is special guest reffing a match between Batista and Shawn Michaels, and Shawn fakes a knee injury. Actually, wait, before this,
You
way
set him
before
up for
this.
a fucking slammaroonie there.
way
Sean
before
fakes a knee injury.
Well, of course.
this, way
Sean.
before this,
Let's put it out
is
there so I can get it out of the way.
Jericho and Shawn wrestled at WrestleMania 19, and obviously I was like, what year is that?
That was 2002.
19.
Great match. by the
2002.
way.
So yeah, so I'm not even
2003. I'm sorry.
I'm not conscious for
So I
this
was
yet.
19.
But I recently went back and watched it and understood the presentation of the pop star in Shawn Michaels and the edgy rock star Fozzy guy in Chris Jericho. And they had a really awesome
And how much Jericho has attributed his career to,
Yes,
to being
And my
Yes.
favorite moment when he punches
his
Jericho
wife.
Yes,
punches
so
Shawn
yes.
Michaels' wife in the face.
That comes way later.
Yeah, so Shawn fakes a knee injury, and then like the next week or so on Raw, they like tag together Jericho and Shawn, forget who they face, and Shawn pretty much proves that his knee wasn't injured. So then Jericho like legitimately is like, yo.
Well, also just the whole thing behind this match, and it's funny we're bringing it up now, is because Shawn had just retired Ric Flair at WrestleMania,
Yes.
and Batista's Ric Flair's boy. Like,
Evolution.
yeah, like Batista like
No, we're
loves
tag
Ric Flair,
champions.
and Batista's angry at Shawn for he's like basically you should have just let Rick win. It was essentially what Batista's like saying.
But Shawn's career was on the line in this.
Not well, yeah,
At
not,
Mania it was.
oh, what?
At Mania, if he lost, he was.
I
the
thought
one
it was
who
just
had
Ric
to.
Flair.
I thought it was just Rick.
I thought the stipulation was that Shawn would have been fired.
And
if he
I know
lost.
it was always the next match Rick loses, he's done. I
Yeah.
don't know if Shawn was also. I might have.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I don't
either.
remember that. You could be right. But yeah, Batista was basically pissed at Rick or pissed at Shawn for retiring Flair. It was like the whole thing.
So yeah, so then like this starts to devolve further, and eventually I don't know if the unsanctioned match happens before or after Jericho. Well, Jericho eventually, prior to all of this that kicks the feud off, is Jericho comes out, starts cutting the promo, and starts to turn heel. He's like mild mannered, but he like is starting to be like, yo, you are a lie, essentially. And then smashes his head through the Jeritron 5000, bleeds. Shawn eventually throughout this feud wrestled with like 2 separate injuries. He had like some sort of actual like head injury. But
Wait.
then
Real injuries or
Yes.
Shawn injuries?
real
Shawn
injury.
injuries?
During
Can't
the,
work that, bro. Got a Shawn injury.
I need to see a doctor's note, Austin. I'm sorry, I don't believe it.
during the brawl post Jericho accidentally really hitting his wife, Shawn tears his tricep, like a slight tear, but wrestles through it.
Shawn wrestling? No, he can't wrestle. through injuries. Oh, he wasn't a champion at the time. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why.
So Shawn wins the unsanctioned match, but then a little down the road, CM Punk is like forced. I forget the story here, but he's no longer able to compete in a world heavyweight championship match.
There was a they were doing the scramble match.
Doesn't Orton punt him backstage?
Yeah,
So yeah, Orton punts him backstage, and Jericho gets inserted into the match after already wrestling and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. So then it sets up like one of my favorite ladder matches, individual match, No Mercy 08, Jericho versus Shawn. The last moment,
Better than Razor?
different time period.
It's very good.
Yeah.
The final spot in the match is both guys holding on to either end of the unstrapped belt. And there's a tug of war, and Jericho's holding on with the one hand. He's like, oh no. And then like comes back, and I think he hits Shawn with the belt in the face. Shawn falls, Jericho falls, but with the title. Jericho retains. And then the ladder like comes down and hits Jericho.
Tony's
in the
like
back
Shawn
of the
lost.
head.
I don't like the feud.
No, I don't mind when
Next.
Shawn loses.
Razor's
Razor's ladder match was fantastic.
So yeah, the main reason I have this feud is one, Jericho, up until like the last, I don't know, like 5 or so years, most likely my favorite wrestler of all time. He still probably is.
He's up there for me.
Um,
Personal favorites for me is Shawn 1, probably Jericho 2, Flair 3.
and then match.
And they're all fucking carbon cop. Like they're all like
They're all
everyone.
kind of trying to be Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, this is another situation where like I'm like, yo, the bad guy has a point here.
Yeah.
Like Shawn has done some shit that would make someone like Jericho or anyone, you fake an injury in front of someone to win a match after you just
Or get out of losing a title. Yeah. it happens.
yeah.
Still a goat.
And then that ladder match as the culmination of it is one of my favorite matches
Yeah.
ever.
I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, Shawn modeled his whole career off Flair. Jericho modeled a lot of his career off Shawn. It's fun stuff.
And then they would feud, what, 6 years later?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a lot of, that's a cool thing about the wrestling business, man. And Jericho's still fucking kicking, man.
Still the wizard.
Yeah.
Killing it. Well, no, he's back to
Lionheart.
Lionheart again.
For
Which
one
is,
night, yeah.
Hey, that's why I grew that mustache so he can shave it off next week.
it was cool that he finally finished the match with a lion tamer.
Well, yeah, with the high
Yeah.
angle Boston crowd. That's
Yeah.
the
Knee on the back of the neck.
that's the good one.
Yeah.
Like, why not do that? And that's easier to do.
Well, they
That
asked him that in that first. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
That's a teaser for next week.
Yeah. Brian,
We're
number
go-
2.
We're going back to ECW now.
Wow.
We're
Yeah.
going back.
ECW
to
get a lot of love
Paul
tonight.
Heyman's going to share this.
Yeah. And you talk about feuds in ECW. You got to talk about.
I just want to say something real quick. I don't consider myself a very big wrestling historian, right? Like I'm not in the same category as anyone else on this table. I think you guys are all fantastic at what you do. And the fact that like I do respect you, all of you as wrestling historians and fucking knowing everything. The fact that you two picked fucking 3 ECW feuds as your favorites of all time says a lot for ECW.
Some of the wrestling wasn't great, but the booking was for the time.
Feuds and story is where it's at.
It was a time. It was just it came on strong and it burned out fast, but it was great.
Yeah.
It was there.
Pretty fun to
Like
hear.
90. Some people would say,
Does living in Northeast Pennsylvania help?
Probably, yeah. And going to the shows for $15.
Living 5 minutes outside of Philadelphia helps for sure. Yeah, like ECW was my local wrestling company. Yeah. Like how like Outbreak would be here. That was ECW for me.
Yeah.
It was like, the ECW is the local wrestling company. They literally.
I just wanted to stamp ourselves. Those people listening,
they
like, are you fucking kidding me?
They literally ran at a athletic club field house that was right behind my middle school.
Yeah,
that was ECW.
Same with the Flagstaff and Jim Thorpe and Hamburg at the field house. They ran 2 shows.
Here we go. As a human wrestling encyclopedia, I am loving the ECW.
I'm telling you, if you were around, because it was like, okay,
welcome to the channel.
Here's Raw and Nitro, and they're really good. But if you want the real good stuff, you gotta watch ECW.
Yeah.
That's how. And that was like the underground, like, you might listen to fucking Nickelback, but down here is like the real.
You're watching
band,
that,
you know? Yeah.
You gotta see this ECW over here.
Real quick
they
too.
use real music.
I would literally hear like people talk about wrestling, so be like ECW's real. Like,
there was that.
I had someone tell me that. I go, no, it's not.
There was always you have to sign a waiver when you go to ECW because it's so violent. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah. Also, if you guys are still here and it's your first time and you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you are here, share this, especially the YouTube stream. Just be like, hey, here's a podcast I'm listening to. I think they're doing a good job or this or that. And let's try to get our goal right now is by the end of the year, we want to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We just surpassed 200, which is kind of dope. So we're just kind of setting a little milestone for ourselves to try to do that. So if you are enjoying the content, hitting the like button on YouTube, the comments are fantastic because the comments show interaction and show
share
the shares. But yeah, important. Definitely letting people know word of mouth is how we're growing because we're not paying any of these algorithms.
Save for later, and you don't even have to watch it because we always save for later.
There it is. But thank you guys so much for all the engagement. I know we're not getting to everybody, but I do appreciate everyone commenting and hanging out. It means a lot.
There's a lot of good feuds in there.
Everyone's a wrestling encyclopedia nowadays. I will agree to that, but these boys prove their worth at a actual wrestling trivia.
That's true.
And I'm telling you right now, we went to a wrestling trivia hosted by Bryce Remsbrand, and you were on an opposing team.
Yeah.
And it came down to the last round, and I think out of maybe the 4 teams who were in the top, I think maybe 2 wrong questions or 2 to 3 wrong answers by the 3rd or 4th round, which is insane. Yeah. And they were not easy questions.
What was a date thing? Which I'm not big on.
There were 50 questions. Our team missed 3.
Yes, you guys. I'm not even saying me. You guys missed 3, and I think the second place team missed
5.
I think 5
by 2,
which is insane to think about in a trivia night. Especially some of the questions were pretty. They were up there.
They had some deep cuts.
Yeah, there were some deep cuts in there. So I give a lot of respect.
I've been told I'm not allowed to be on a team anymore.
Yeah, Brian's not allowed to play with a team in wrestling trivia.
Tony Deppen said I have to play by myself.
Yeah, Tony Deppen says you're all alone.
See, I don't know about like you two specifically, but like for me, the only form of entertainment I watch is wrestling, and it's been that way like my whole life.
I watch other stuff,
and that's the thing. You are not only encyclopedia about wrestling, like Murder My Dude. You have just plethora.
I have very good retention.
Very good memory.
For me, it is.
I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
It's almost solely wrestling. A little bit of sports.
I watch wrestling in superhero movies.
Yeah, wrestling and comic books. Andy's got you covered.
That's and the news.
So, if you're talking about ECW feuds, and I think Andy just saved this one for me because he knew I was going to do it. Tommy Dreamer against Raven. It's got to be Tommy Dreamer against Raven.
Thought it was going to be Marcus Corvon. The
No,
versus.
we might eat the real ECW.
The BWO, you missed that one.
The BWO is part of it.
It is, yes. The Ravens
kind of.
lackeys.
Yeah. When the BWO, they're starting to break away too. But I mean, Tommy Dreamer had a great feud before this with the Sandman, where they act because the Sandman would always have a cigarette in the ring, and they acted like he blinded him, and it was just like a worked thing. But everybody thought he was really blind, and it was like they sold it like it was real until Sandman like rips his bandages off his eyes and just beats the shit out of Dreamer with a cane when he's retiring. But shortly after this, Raven starts. And Raven had just been Johnny Polo in WWF as an announcer and a manager. He was Scotty Flamingo. He always played these flamboyant gimmicks where he's either a spoiled rich guy or he was like the surfer guy in like neon, but now he's like a grunge, mopey.
I loved Raven.
Yeah, because it's 94.
Yeah, he's wearing like cutoff jeans.
Pearl Jam is huge, you know, and Nirvana's huge.
Yeah, cut off jeans, leather jacket, flannel shirt tied around him.
Where do you rank? Where do you sit with when it comes to grunge music? Hate it?
It's okay.
Really?
It's just okay.
Like Nirvana?
There's some Nirvana's fine. I mean, there's some
Really?
good songs, but just,
Okay.
I'm not really into it.
It's not too far off of pop punk. It's just whiny.
Oh, really?
He hates
I,
pop punk.
I don't think it's anything like pop punk.
No,
I
grunge is
like.
way
Well,
better
I mean,
than pop punk.
at the core of it, it's
Maybe.
still
If
whiny.
your beats,
Lyrically.
if your beats per minute aren't high enough for Andy, he ain't fucking with you. That's why I'm glad. I'm shocked you're saying you are somewhat okay with grunge.
Yeah, like Alice in Chains is
Alice in
good, but
Chains,
yeah.
That's what I would think you would like.
You know what's better than Pearl Jam when they get together with the guy from Soundgarden? Is that the
Chris Cornell?
Toad.
No, Hair of the Dog. Is that what's
Temple
called?
of the
Yeah,
Dog.
Temple of the
Dog.
Temple of the Dog.
Oh,
Hair of the Dog is
yeah.
now you're messing with the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Now you're messing with him. Okay, yeah, that's the 70s.
Tantalizing Tony in the chat. Make sure, please, if you have not following me, you follow Tantalizing Tony.
Yeah.
I am with him every Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday,
What?
Saturday.
What?
I'm with this guy a lot. We do a lot of watch alongs for wrestling. He's a good dude. A lot of his audience is already in here. They
Great,
showed a
thank
lot
you.
of support. Tony's a great guy. And you can see him if you're local. He will be at Icons of Wrestling. He has a table set up
Nice at the ECW
at the
arena.
at the.
So the
the
drop
arena.
ECW again.
I like
You
how
know,
he cut me off.
See,
couldn't
I
say what
saw
it's
I
actually
saw
called.
someone else in the Tornado Tag chat
ECW arena.
call it the 2300, and no one said anything. And you're in that chat.
I might not have seen that.
We just pretend it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just ignore it. At
It
this
was it was by another wrestler as
What's
well.
even worse, the ultimate is when you say, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, oh, it's at the New Alhambra. Get the fuck out of there.
what was it? Viking Hall.
Yeah, that
Viking
was
Hall
back
was the original name. The South Philadelphia Vikings are a mummers group.
We're getting way
And,
off
Yeah,
topic.
they that's who owned the hall, or that was like their warehouse for all their mummer stuff.
yeah, and that's had bingo.
And they would do bingo. They'd do like beef and beers. It was like a banquet hall. Like if you,
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
you could pro- you could
firehouse.
probably
And that
rent
was
it out
where
for,
you
like, a
did your
wedding.
training. That's where you trained
Yes.
with Chikara.
Somebody in Claudio Castagnoli.
Yeah, head trainer. All right,
Somebody.
let's get to your feud.
Somebody.
So at the beginning of this feud is very silly. The premise of this feud is very silly. Raven and Tommy Dreamer were childhood friends, and they went to summer camp together.
Oh boy.
And
But like any good feud.
and Raven was kind of like a nerdy guy, and Tommy kind of bullied him a little bit. But now Raven's like
Edgy.
edgy, and he brings in one of the girls who went to summer camp with him, Beulah McGillicuddy,
Yeah. Dumbest name ever.
who was supposed to be like a homely girl, but now she's like a penthouse pet. Like,
Just slutty.
She's
yeah.
she's the ugly girl, the ugly duckling that became the hot girl.
yeah. And
ECW Beulah. I have to look her up.
She was hot.
yeah, she is, and she's now for 20 plus years married to Tommy Dreamer
Yeah.
for real. They have a bunch of kids.
Doesn't she take the pin in their one night stand match from Edge?
Edge pins Beulah. But she starts with Raven, and Raven has his lackey Stevie Richards, the Blue Moon,
Oh, yeah, I
and
know who
everything.
Beulah is. Jesus.
And the whole crux of this feud is no matter what happens, Tommy Dreamer never beats Raven.
Mm-hmm.
He gets close, he gets screwed over. He never beats Raven. He might like beat him up after the match and get the last laugh. They always do the things with Beulah where he would pile drive Beulah, but she would wear a skirt so you would see her underwear.
Yeah.
Like you can't do this stuff anymore, but it was a product of its time.
Extreme 90s.
Yeah. And they would always have like little technicalities where the ref, there would be a dusty finish. I just recently watched Raven and Richards against the Pitbulls. It's a double dog collar match.
I remember that.
And they do a thing where one of the Pitbulls gets hurt and Tommy Dreamer comes out to join in and he pins Raven. But Bill Alfonso comes out and says that the match is over. You never pinned Raven. It's stricken from the record. like anything they could do to avoid having Tommy Dreamer beat Raven, it would happen.
The chase is always the best part, man.
It
Sometimes
is.
if you give it too soon, it's not good.
And then part of this is like Cactus Jack turns on Tommy and joins Raven. And then there's like a sub feud with Tommy and Cactus Jack. There's a sub feud with Tommy and Brian Lee. But it's always Tommy and Raven's heater. And he could beat that guy. But when it was Tommy and Raven, or even in a tag, Dreamer would always lose. Until Raven signs with WCW. And they have one last match. Loser leaves ECW. And Tommy Dreamer finally beats Raven.
With the stop sign. Well, the DDT and the stop sign.
It's crazy that I actually have stop signs
Yeah.
that someone gave me.
They use my sign, Tommy. That's
Yes,
from
that was against Raven. There's somebody. There was always a sign guy in the crowd, and it said, "Tommy, use my sign."
So if any promotion ever wants stop signs, I have them if you want to beat each other up with them.
I've got caution signs as
But
well.
I'm saving. I don't know if it'll ever happen, if it'll ever show up at a promotion I'm at, like an Outbreak or a PPW or hint, 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 anywhere else I love. But I do have a stop sign that is reserved for a Raven autograph, a Raven or a Tommy Dreamer. Like like when I think of the stop sign, I think of like in the WCW, like where he's walking out with the flock and he has the stop sign because he uses it on DDP a lot too.
But it comes from this. It comes from this moment where there's the guy, and he always had signs. He was like the ECW sign guy, and they had the sign guy Dudley, and the Dudleys were also Raven lackeys. And the one regular sign guy has a thing that says, "Tommy, use my sign." So he takes the sign and he hits Raven with it. Like Raven goes down. Like, why? He got hit with this piece of poster board.
Yeah.
And then he rips off the poster board and it's a stop sign under it.
I love that so much.
And that would also when he wins world title. So.
And then when Raven leaves WCW, he comes back and now he's teaming with Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
So they patched up their differences. Well, they're still like reluctant
Because
partners.
It's against the Dudley Boys, right?
It's like, it was when the
The
Dudleys,
Dudley Boys
are
are leaving. And so it's I think it's the first show on ECW on TNN.
It was one of the early
Yeah,
ones.
and then
it's in Queens.
And Tommy Dreamer's fighting the Dudley Boys by himself because his partner got taken out or something. And like halfway through the match, Raven comes out and hits the DDT and he wins the tag titles and just hands it to Tommy Dreamer.
It's like I'm champions with my worst enemy.
Yeah,
Basically what happened.
They're like, Raven.
It's always good when a feud has that team up at one point.
Yeah, and
it got overused eventually, but they did that a lot. They did it in the ECW too. Like Chris Candido and Lance Storm were the tag champions that hated each other. They did it a few times.
Yeah. Love that. All right, number 2. Now, my number 2 is usually when you look at every wrestling website, this is usually the number 1. But unfortunately for me, it's my number 2.
Okay.
And once again, it spawns from a guy I like, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels.
Marty Jannetty and Al Snow.
Shawn Michaels had that opportunity where he almost blurred the lines with DX, where he showed that the owner of the company also then became a character. And that said character then spawned off to rival one of its top stars in Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I never think Shawn when I think this feud. I never think about Shawn.
I think the early grassroots of Vince being exposed as the boss comes from DX.
I think it comes from Austin because he's like,
if anything,
because when Shawn,
no, it's Brett.
Yeah, it's
well,
Brett.
yeah, Shawn would come out on screen after the Brett and Shawn thing, and then Shawn carried over like, oh, we can't say this on when they were DX. You know, we were really grinding your gears. You know, we can't say that. Like Shawn was putting it out there that Vince is the owner.
But even way before that, it's when Brett lost the title to Sid in that cage match, and Brett's cursing out Vince, and this is when Shawn was out crying because he had to lose the belt to Brett at WrestleMania, so he had a knee injury.
He hurt his knee real bad.
Yeah.
Career ending. 4 or 5 weeks.
2 months.
2 months, something like that. But anyway, well, the Brett Shawn, that's still ties of the Brett Shawn feud, even though he's wrestling Sid.
And then when Austin gets hurt later that year in '97, it's like that's when Vince takes his first stunner because he's like, I care about you, like you can't wrestle, and he gives McMahon the stunner because he tells him he can't wrestle.
Yeah,
this is like way before all that stuff.
But I still think, for me anyway, the
world does not revolve around Shawn Michaels.
It does a little bit here in that point in time because Shawn does pass the torch and then Austin fucking takes it and runs with it.
Yeah, and actually draws money.
Yeah,
and beats WCW.
You're not wrong.
A lot of money.
But Shawn, Vince versus Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be my number 2.
That's a good one.
Super entertaining.
They have a DVD all about it.
Yeah, and I mean, even as of last WrestleMania, like they're like
It's
anytime
probably over now.
even
Yeah.
every time
Yeah.
you think Vince and Stone Cold, that they're always going to be synonymous with each other, whether they're together against each other. Every good rivalry had to become buddies with them at one point.
When they were together, it was horrible. And even Steve
Yeah.
Austin says we probably shouldn't.
Probably should have done it,
Biggest
but
mistake of his career.
I don't really have to dive into exactly what this means to all of us because it's huge. It was the reason the Monday Night Wars is probably over. It's the reason that
It's the reason why-
WCW is now on the network.
I was almost named Steve Austin.
Yeah,
There was already
my
Steve
brother's
in the
name
family.
is Austin because of Stone Cold. And I helped name him. It was the bedpan where he hits him with the bedpan. Like every
Classic.
skit, everything about it, like fighting with your boss. That was the whole like.
Yeah, it was- you were living through Austin if you hated your boss.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's my number 2. My number 2 rivalry is going to be Vince McMahon,
There you go. And that
Stone Cold Steve
the
Austin.
debut of Big Show when they had their cage matches.
They came up through the ring. Yeah,
And it even, we got the debut. We got the debut of the Big Show. We got Stone Cold winning 2 Rumbles and then Vince winning 1.
Yeah.
Oh God.
the best. Less said about that one, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Kurt Angle and Vince is that adjacent to this or?
Yeah, they were friendly. Yeah.
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 And then the invasion and it's kind of low point.
Mhm.
Yeah, fun things. I mean, with the one ending of Raw where everyone just kind of is hitting each other's finishers on each other. At the end of the show is like one person
I'm
runs
trying
out,
to
hits their finisher, another guy runs out,
yeah.
hits their finisher, another guy runs out, Stone Cold comes out, hits the finish. Like, I don't know, it was just a cool time to be a wrestling fan, and I think
The beer truck.
if you took a break from
Bang,
WCW during
316.
the Shawn run to go to WCW, which a lot of people did,
Yeah.
you definitely came back because of the Vince Stone Cold.
Oh, I would say so. The Zamboni hitting the ring and then jumping off
Yep.
and hitting Vince. So the Corvette putting the cement in the Corvette.
Well, and this is
And
one of
then
the early
McMahon pulling
times.
the ear.
One of the early times that they acknowledge Vince as the owner. This is pre.
Tony, don't let them tell you that the World Wrestling does not revolve around Shawn. Oh, I know it does. They can
Yeah.
tell me anything else.
AEW started by Shawn Michaels.
It was. It was. You know how?
Super kicks.
Nope. Super kicks,
damn.
super kicks, and the Bucks wanted to be the click so fucking bad they made the Elite. The Elite
Oh,
made
the Bucks,
AEW.
Yeah. Tony commented.
Shawn Michaels,
Yeah,
baby.
money.
Except, Kenny. It's Cody.
Yeah, and they all idolized Shawn Michaels, and they wanted to be the click
I
so
don't
bad.
know
They
about
started. They
Cody
started a
and Kenny.
company.
I think Cody idolized Rick.
Yeah.
There it is. Shawn Michaels.
So
He's like Kevin Bacon of wrestling to me. I'll find a way. I'll connect dots.
All right, GCW.
That you got me there.
Nick Gage, big Shawn Michaels fan.
He is loves Shawn
He
Michaels.
might be.
He's a sexy boy, and he'll throw anyone through a window. Glass.
Abbott sure Nick Gage.
Glass,
throwing someone through a
barbershop window, glass,
Hey.
huge pop. Nick Gage says, I'm going to throw people through windows my whole career. GCW.
window. Light tubes, windows.
There you
No
go.
selling.
No selling. He would never fake an injury. He would make sure you're really almost going to die before you leave.
yeah.
Anyway, were you going to say something about?
So one of my favorite Steve Austin things, and this was when he was still a heel, and he's on, and he kind of, and this is like '96. He's even
Carl?
making allusions about McMahon being the owner because he goes, Vince.
Sean to GCW.
He goes,
Why?
he's like, Vince, remember when you had that guy out here and you put him in a bus and you painted it all up red, white, and blue, and he went all over shaking hands and kissing babies, and he's like, why don't you take a bus, paint it black? I'll drive it all around the country, and anybody that comes out to see me, I'll whip their ass.
Or drink a beer with him.
Yeah.
No, he was I'll whip their ass.
Yeah.
He wasn't drinking beer with them. He was
Could you imagine if
drinking
Stone Cold did a cross-country beer tour where he just showed up at dive bars and drank beer with people?
It would be the new Lex Express.
Yeah, we probably would have got him over
Fucking
more.
sign
Yeah.
me
It'd be a
up.
TV series.
Yeah.
Easily.
The Lex.
Do you ever watch his Broken Skull? Where it's just people like dying in the 100-degree heat in Arizona, and he's just like, "You can do it.
I watched
Pick up that bus." I loved it so
I
much.
saw like one of the first episodes.
Yeah, it was
Climb
so
up the
good.
steep muddy hill and stuff.
It was the
like
only time I ever watched the Country Music Channel. That's what it was
The
on.
only time I ever watched a country music channel was for Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Wrestling, and it was bad.
Oh, I didn't even know that existed.
Wasn't there a monster truck show that Dusty did commentary on?
He may have. I know
on
Medusa was involved
CMT?
with those.
Yeah. I think there was.
All right, Andy,
All
you're
right.
number one.
Oh, it's not my. I didn't have these in any order.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
Your last feud.
Yeah,
Then.
so-
I'm putting them in order for me, but
I was gonna pick a New Japan one, but the New Japan feuds are just really good matches. There's no.
And you already had
story.
that with Van Damme. And
Yeah. So I could have said Okada and Tanahashi, or Okada.
you can throw a couple honorable mentions. That didn't
Yeah,
make
I
your
mean
list.
that's real good. In the Naito and Kotobushi
I like that.
or Naito and Okada.
Before you pick your last one, throw some honorable mentions.
That's all good stuff. I mean, there's a ton of New Japan ones like that. But what's the story? Well, he wanted to beat him to get the belt. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
He wants to be the top of the
Yeah. So I figure want to talk about tag team.
I think Nidals makes sense because
Yeah.
Nidals is really
had more
cool
of a
just for what
story
you
'cause
guys
he
told
didn't- He
me.
didn't get the main event, and then he's sour about that. And he was the
And he's disrespected that people didn't vote him, so he didn't give a shit about the belt.
Yeah, he
That's
was
actually good
breaking it.
storytelling.
That
I
was
like that.
yeah. So that was one of the most story. Other than that, New Japan stories are I'm gonna beat you because I don't like you, or I want to beat you because I want to win the belt, or if I beat you, I get a shot at the title, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna beat you because you beat me before.
I want to move
That's
up the ladder.
Yes, it's more competitive. So I figured let's talk about a few that went different territories and then went kind of national for the time. Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express.
There it
All-time
is.
great
Yeah.
feud.
So
Good,
Mid South.
good thing Tornado Tag Podcast
Yeah,
put at least
yeah.
one tag
Hey,
team
yeah.
feud in here.
I mean, there's not many when you think about good. You could say Dudley's and Edge and Christian and Hardy Boys, or maybe Young Bucks and Kenny and
Young
Hangman
Bucks.
kinda?
I think right now, like Young
Young
Bucks
Bucks and Penta and Phoenix.
and Lucha Bros.
Yeah,
Well, the tag one that I brought up earlier
Young
was,
Bucks, Hardys, and Ring of Honor.
yeah,
was the Usos in the New Day.
yeah. But I mean, it's a little bit hard because you'd be like, oh yeah, Legion of Doom. Well, who did they really feud with? That was
And
memorable.
everybody you wanted them to feud with,
Yeah, they steamrolled everybody.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't really
Like,
get
we never got a good Road Warriors Steiner Brothers match. If we did, I don't.
our demolition.
Yeah, because they
I'm
kind
trying
of.
to even think what my favorite Steiner feud was. Doom, maybe?
Yeah.
Well,
when they was really
when they
good.
did the Dangerous Alliance, had a good feud with Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many, but like this Mid South and then Jim Crockett Promotions and then the NWA and then WCW a little bit. And then also the Rock and Roll Express feud with two different versions. They had the Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, and then Bobby Eaton,
You
Stan
just want
Lane.
to shoehorn fucking Jim Cornette into this.
I
bullshit.
didn't
Midnight
even mention it.
Express.
I didn't even mention him yet. I didn't even mention
How
him
could
yet.
you talk about the Midnight Express without talking about Jim Cornette?
I'm joking.
And they did get the one of the goofiest matches of all time. If you want to watch that, was the Starrcade '87, the Night of the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Scaffold.
Yeah, the scaffold that's way too high, and they're kind of all scared to be up there. And then Jim Cornette blows out both knees.
Well, that was against the Road
Oh,
Warriors.
that was that one. Yeah, but then this one I think Bobby falls.
Yeah, I think they.
Yeah.
Is that the one where like Bobby's dangling and then they just kick him back and forth?
Yeah, and he kind of like I don't want to fall. I don't want to fall. So it's a spectacle
And,
match. I'm glad they don't have
it's
them
a-
anymore.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, no more scaffolding.
Yeah.
I'm surprised,
no more-
like honestly, I could see GCW doing. one.
Yeah, and then be all light tubes
Glass.
and shit. Yeah. But all their
Terrifying.
matches were great, and this is the whole like if you want to learn how tag team wrestling works, like we're gonna put the heat on the baby face, and then we're gonna build up to the hot tag, and then
These are the two teams to watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything was really good.
This is a really good day to bring this up because this is August 4th, and it's a year ago today that Bobby Eaton passed away.
Oh wow, how about that? I had
Dude,
no idea.
I'm gonna be completely honest. The first time I ever watched a Midnight Express match was that Great American Bash thing that we watched,
Okay,
and it was unbelievable.
yeah, they're both
It-
really good.
it's a match that you can put in today's time and people would still eat it up.
Yeah, if you picked up some random star,
and that was against the Southern Boys.
Yeah.
yeah, like it, not the Skywalker match. That's just a spectacle. But if you pick up one match when they just had like some Clash of Champions or something.
the
If you
Bash,
like
yeah.
FTR, who are pretty much the
Yes.
most popular tag team in the world, you'll like both of these
Yeah,
teams.
because they were inspired
They model
heavily by
themselves.
both. Yeah. And then the kind of like the Rock and Roll Express is kind of like the
Yeah.
Rockers, but not as young, I guess. Even though
Yeah,
they
well,
were
the
young
Rockers were kind of supposed to be like the hybrid between the Midnight Express. They were called the Midnight Rockers.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to be the hybrid between the Rock and Roll Express and the
Yep.
Midnight Express.
Love it.
Yeah.
I traded a copy of the Night of the Skywalkers for a copy of Barbed Wires, hoodies, and choke slams.
What is Bob Wire?
He
an
doesn't.
old ECW
I
show.
guess with the face emoji, he's not happy about the trade.
Yeah.
I would, especially if that tape was an actual.
No, it was an arena show.
If it was a non-recorded one, like a one that you could buy.
No, it was one of those like RF video.
Oh, okay.
shirts, Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying the NWA one because that'd be worth a little money. Like now, if it was a tape,
That would be a fun episode. If you're into tape trading, we're always
yeah.
looking for a guest to come on and talk tape
I
trading. That'd be a fun
have,
that
topic.
was huge.
I
back-
have the card here. If you would like to know the card for Barbed Wire,
Yes.
and choke slam.
Well, let's table it because we are running about an hour and 19. We have to go around the table once and still do news.
Oh, you still have 3 more. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that just type in any Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express. You're probably
Yeah.
gonna see a real good match.
Midnight Express not in the Hall of Fame.
No, because
No.
of
Cornette.
yeah.
Oh wait,
No,
oh no,
they-
because Cornette inducted the Rock and Roll,
Yeah.
not the Midnights. So maybe not because of Cornette. Who knows why?
I don't think there's like a big thing, right? Like there's not like
Unless Stan Ling was involved in the concussion
He
lawsuit,
may have been, yeah.
which that would probably keep him out. But maybe now the Vince
Do you think
is out,
that changes with Vince being gone?
That's-
Maybe
might.
the Hall of
They
Fame.
might be in the legacy wing. They do that
Yeah.
legacy wing thing.
it
now,
might
but
because Triple H likes the older guys. So yeah, maybe
There's just so much that's going to change with this company. That
I know.
I'm excited
it's very,
for.
It's very exciting and hopeful.
The first Raw.
Dude, people
already.
are already saying AEW's dead. There's no show.
Well, I wouldn't.
I don't
well,
think that
people are
either.
more worried about AEW because of what's going on with Warner Media.
We'll get to that in the
Yeah.
news section. Austin,
Honorable mentions. So far, my list has revolved around Canadians. And the top spot.
That's because we broke into the Canada market, and I'm going to bury it with my last one.
The top spot is taken by a Canadian, but honorable mentions. John Cena is the guy I grew up with. It's hard for me not to mention him in certain rivalries. And one of
him and Bray Wyatt.
So one of my favorite rivalries, and they kind of did it 2 separate times with 2 different people, but John Cena and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens coming up as NXT champion, and then they ran with
So that's
him.
Corey. Corey Cross can come and talk tape trading with us.
Corey said something earlier.
Well, Corey switched over to YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was on the Facebook, then he switched over to YouTube.
Yeah,
But,
so I never was into tape trading.
Neither was
just 'cause
I, but I
didn't
think
have
it's fascinating to hear people talk
the
about
funds. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was how you did it back. There was no YouTube, baby. Was no network.
So yeah, John Cena versus Kevin Owens. All of the matches that they had were very good. And then same kind of storyline of John Cena being the pinnacle of WWE versus guy who is not WWE, AJ Styles. Again, all of their matches were incredible. But
AJ and Cena were fucking really good matches.
and promos for both of those feuds were really good too, because John Cena could talk, Kevin Owens could talk, and AJ Styles. At this point, it was easy for him because he was with OC and he just signed with WWE.
Beat up Johnson.
Yeah.
The only problem with today, especially for today's wrestling in WWE, when you're like, so like one of the things I was thinking about in a rivalry is like where almost like how we were talking about, where an injury separates them for a while, or they slow burn it where you don't get to see them work each other and they keep them away from each other and they build to it. Right now in WWE, it's hard to really build a feud when they're fucking wrestling each other in some form of fashion every single week on TV.
This is something
for 8 months.
Something that we can change.
Yeah, that
as we
is
speak.
that is what they said. Like backstage, the reception is like there's a lot of optimism right now, and one of the big things that wrestlers are excited about is that we're not going to wrestle the same people every week. Because they said Vince would just legit forget or not care that you've wrestled this guy like 6 times in the past 3
The only
months.
thing is you have to retool your audience to get ready for that. Because you're going to have people who are going to have to take losses because not every week has to end in a fuck finish.
Yeah, they will, and you don't have to see everyone every week. You know, you can cycle through especially when you have 200 people.
No, I even just the first Raw post SummerSlam, it was a different feel completely.
There was still I wanted to see more of the Alexa.
Well, it's not gonna
Asuka.
it's not gonna feel like a completely different show.
Yeah, my analogy is you buy a building, right, and it's got 50 rooms. You can't redo it.
You can't remodel them all.
Yeah, you got to do one at a time.
100%. I totally agree. But that's why I was like trying to pick today's rivalries. It's like AJ and Cena would be a great pick, but like how many times is just like maybe not so much them because Cena is spared on how he's used on TV. Like the reason Brock and Roman work is because they don't touch each other on TV.
Yeah, that's how Hogan worked back then. He never
Yeah.
wrestled on TV.
And then the pay-per-view comes and they fucking
you don't
kill
have
it.
to see the world champion every week, and now the U.S. title's being built up. But we'll get there.
Well, I think one more honorable mention is the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's just spawned not territories but promotions from like
Ring of Honor,
PWG, Ring of Honor, NXT, main roster. So no, but my main one I'm going to stick in chronological order, and I'm going to stick with a Canadian, and it's Orton versus Christian. This feud, probably
one more match.
Yeah. So this is fresh off of Edge retiring, and Christian had just won the World Heavyweight Championship. Is this the one where he wins in a ladder match?
Against Del Rio. Yeah,
I would have never seen that coming. As
Tyrus is gushing blood. Brodus Clay at the time, gushing blood. Yeah, he takes a ladder to the top of the head, and he's gushing blood. But yeah, Christian wins the match. 5 days later, on a SmackDown that is fan voted for this match, Christian loses the World Heavyweight Championship to Randy Orton. So this is like Orton is still kind of at the main part of his heat of like 09, even like kind of 08, but 09 on to like 2012, right before whatever that era of SmackDown is. Orton is the top guy at this point.
You're getting a lot of likes here right now.
Yeah,
if people are liking this feud.
It was a very fun feud. Very fun feud.
So yeah, Christian's foot also under the rope when he gets pinned. So Christian, so you brought it up earlier. You never would have thought Edge. Oh, he's that tag team guy. Him and Christian should be tag team legends. Well, Edge at this point was already a multi-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, singles champion. He had that moment. Christian still was not at that. Vince wanted to put a blue dot over his face. Vince didn't see him as anything other than a good worker. So he finally wins the title and then loses it 5 days later. He literally gets screwed out of the title. And the crowd is really like the feeling of this is wow,
and
this
it is
sucks.
the secondary title too. So it's like, Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't even keep the secondary one for more than 5 days.
Yeah, true. So then Christian has a change in character. He has now gone obsessive over not only just winning the title back, but also by beating Randy Orton. And generationally, this is kind of fun to watch because Christian, again, has been in WWE longer than Orton. Orton's just a generational talent.
He might have left and went to TNA for a little bit and came back.
Yeah, true. Christian.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, a little Christian Cage run.
I won the NWA title.
So the matches that I remember from this specifically are Christian. So also during this time period of Randy Orton, he has become too powerful of a heel. So at different points, there are some weird stipulations against Randy Orton. He has a match against Shawn. So this isn't against Orton, but there's a match with Shawn Michaels and Orton where Shawn's not allowed to hit the super kick. Shawn goes to hit the super kick, stops. Orton hits him with the RKO. So now we fast forward a little bit, and Orton's on the other side of this coin. If Orton gets disqualified in this match, I forget what pay-per-view it is. He loses.
Money in the Bank, I believe.
I believe you're right. He loses the World
The same
Heavyweight
night that
Championship.
Punk won, I think.
Oh yeah. You're right. So Christian is backed into the corner after taking a beating from Orton and spits in Randy Orton's face. And Randy sells it, looks at the crowd, starts going furious, looks at the ref, looks at Christian, punts him right in the dick. Christian is your World Heavyweight Champion, and then Orton RKOs him on the announce table like 3 times, doesn't break. So then eventually the like blow off to this feud is an Extreme Rules match with Orton and Christian.
that's a tough move to take on a table and break through.
Yeah,
because you have to release at some point to not hold their head the whole way down.
It's more the guy giving it, breaking the table.
Yeah,
first.
That's a tough spot to break.
Sometimes the table just don't break.
Yeah.
So
I always loved doing the sweet chin and table break on the SmackDown, and it just like
it just explodes. So this is the beginning of like the Christian, I guess, whiny Christian in like the early 2000s when he was throwing temper tantrums.
Christian just gave probably Matt Hardy his best match in a long fucking time.
Surprisingly,
They both moved very, very well. Like Matt Hardy looked like he was fucking stiff as the Tin Man his last couple matches, and this one they worked very well. Christian's very underrated.
He is one of the most underrated wrestlers of the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's so good.
So this is the beginning of like kind of the Christian we see today, where he is the star. Well, in his mind, he is the star. He's been treated, and it's like accurate. He's been treated as like just a second act, as a tag team,
and no one's gonna outwork him.
But yeah, true. But then finally, the finish to the match is Christian and Orton are in the corner, and Christian like throws Orton off, and he's on like the middle turnbuckle, and it's Christian on the turnbuckle, steel stairs, and Orton. Christian goes to do like the crossbody where he turns around, hits a crossbody, RKO onto the steps, 1, 2, 3. This feud I love because I love Christian and a lot of his I just enjoy a lot of his matches and his character work. But then also those two matches, the finish of
there's his one more match shirt
where they actually work a stipulation around, if this guy gets disqualified, he's losing the title, and they actually made a creative finish to where it actually happened. And then their blow off match is really good too.
Yeah. So are you sticking with your list?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to skip you and let you finish with yours.
Okay.
Because I think yours is a little.
Mine is a little outside the box.
Yes. So I'm gonna go with mine. First, I'll do some honorable mentions.
Dave Arquette versus Kane.
I've mentioned all of my honorable mentions. So I don't have any I've peppered them through the
So honorable mentions for me. I will take one from you. I think the Usos New Day rivalry. I'm gonna try to do some modern day. So Usos New Day, really, really good. I was not a huge Uso fan.
I do have an honorable.
I like their work. I just wasn't a fan of their characters. And the Hell in a Cell with the New Day put me over the top for both those tag teams and really made me start appreciating the WWE tag team division, even though they didn't.
Jey Uso, low key, one of the best Hell in a Cell workers ever.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Really, really good. I will also say, maybe one that we're seeing now that's building. I won't put it on the list, but I'm just saying, like, we're talking about rivalries. We're slowly building MJF CM Punk. If you think MJF's leaving the company,
I'd say it already is.
But I'm saying when they
when
it comes back, it's going to be fucking hot. Let's say Kenny Omega, John Moxley. I didn't like the Hangman one as much. I will say Kenny Omega, John Moxley has been a fun.
Hangman who?
Hangman Hangman and Kenny Omega.
Oh, okay.
I like the John Moxley feud a little more with John Moxley and Kenny Omega. Modern day too. probably one of the biggest ones when it comes out of the black and gold brand is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano.
Oh,
Yeah, I was going to just mention that as an honorable mention. Also, Revival DIY.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go. Bailey
absolutely.
and Sasha when they were both in NXT.
Oh,
Huge.
great mention.
Anytime you see Sasha Charlotte was they were good rivalries.
Kevin
Yeah.
Owens and or Kevin Steen and El Generico would be the really big
Name companies they did it in.
Mhm.
Kevin Steen, El Generico, Sami
I'm trying
Zayn,
to
Kevin
think more
Owens.
women ones, but there's not too many.
I think we
Feud-wise,
mentioned
they
it
don't
off
win
the
things.
air, but CM Punk and Raven and Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
that might have been on the show.
Yeah. Women.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like it's
Most
usually
of most of Raws were the
Trish
four
Stratus,
horsewomen.
Mickey James was a good one.
Yeah, there you
Trish
go.
Stratus, Mickey. Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
Lita, and Trish. No,
Kinda.
not really. Not as much as Mickey
Yeah.
James and yeah. All right. So my number one is gonna go to, obviously, it's not a spoiler. It's fucking, it is what it is. The Bret Hart Shawn Michaels feud. It spanned over to what, a 3 year.
Yeah, well, there's two Bret Hart Shawn Michaels feuds, and they were both baby faces in between. You had the one in the early '90s where you had the real first ladder match in the WWF.
Yeah.
And they feuded over the Intercontinental title, and they feuded for very briefly over the world. Like Shawn was Bret's first pay-per-view opponent, was the WWF champion.
Yeah. These two guys just entered the company around the same time as tag team competitors.
Bret was a little earlier.
A little earlier.
I think
But
Brett's like WrestleMania 4.
Two.
2-1.
yeah, but both these guys, you can tell, like, holy shit, they're gonna be bigger than their tag teams. They're gonna be stars. Like, their work rate's unbelievable. And both guys did it. They just they rose from tag team competitors to solo stars. Everything in between. I mean, every belt in between they probably have held. I know Shawn definitely did. Bret, I think, did as well.
He never
Brett-
had the European.
Yeah, he wasn't around for that. But
He was, because Shawn had the European when he won the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bret wasn't going to say, I know your sister's dying and you dedicated this match to her, but I'm winning the title. So
Yeah, Shawn has to win the title, baby.
But no, Bret was the second guy ever to be, when there were only 3 titles, he was the second guy to have all 3.
Yeah,
tag
just
IC.
two. Listen, I know I shit on Bret Hart, but he's fantastic. He's one of the best. He's one of the best of all time. When it comes to just pure pro wrestling and making a match look believable and doing everything he has to do correctly, Bret Hart is your guy. Shawn Michaels, great competitor. He can sell his ass off. He's a great sports entertainer. That's where you have your division between a pro wrestler and a sports entertainer, and that's your division, right?
Shawn's a damn good pro wrestler.
Oh, he's a great pro wrestler as well. He's definitely your hybrid guy. You know what I mean? He kind of can tote the line between two. Cuts great fucking promos.
I always thought he was a hair overrated doing that.
At promos,
Yeah, hair
Yeah.
overrated.
Good, not great.
He's good. He's not Steve Austin. He's not CM Punk.
And
He's
Bret's
not Roddy
okay.
Piper.
they both changed
He's
the
not
generation
Flair.
of what people think today. Even today's wrestlers. I mean, most wrestlers in today are just like, hey, like, sure, like Ric Flair's there, but a lot of people are like, I want to be DX. I want
That's
to
all
be,
about the DX stuff.
yeah, I want to be DX. I want to be fucking Bret Hart. I want to, like, you know, like they're the fucking models of this new generation of when people watch. They're iconic. They were friends that they were just super competitive with one another. One was clean cut American, drink your milk, take your vitamins. One was a pill popping
not
alcoholic.
clean cut.
I don't know if you've never read Bret's book.
Compared to Shawn, he was as clean. He was cleaner.
Well, his public image was.
Yeah. And it battled over years, and people were in between Undertaker and all these different things, and it led to Shawn winning and then losing, or handing it over, however you want to say it. And then it led to what we now know as the Montreal Screwjob.
Mhm.
And
That and the Iron Man match are the heights. Of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to this day, it's still like when people talk about feuds and things that are iconic and they speak about it wrestling, it's hard not to say Shawn or Bret Hart.
Also, Shawn in Toronto playing Bret's music.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Iconic. I mean, it was a rivalry that was a real rivalry. But it was a rivalry where it was the only reason they didn't like each other is because they knew the other one could have taken their spot as the top of the food chain, and they both wanted the top of that food chain.
And one was an insufferable asshole.
They were both, when it comes to money and being the champion, they were both just as hungry for it. Just one was willing to do what one was willing to
Do
do.
you think Shawn Michaels would have dropped the title to Bob Backlund?
Do you think Bret would have dropped it to Bob Backlund at the height of that rivalry?
He did.
He did.
I'm talking about at the height of where they were at where it culminated to.
Wait.
Like where Bret and Shawn both worked their way up. If they dropped Shawn
Yes.
and said,
Bret
Yeah.
was 2-time world champion when he lost to Bob
I'm just
Backlund,
saying,
right?
I think at that point, both their egos were very high.
Well, yeah.
Sure. I think both
But
egos were at a fever
Bret
point.
Bret was more reluctant. I know he did it in Survivor Series, and he did it after Shawn said he wouldn't do it for him. But Brett was reluctant to pull that card where Shawn would pull that card at the drop of the hat of the I'm not losing thing.
Sure.
Brett did it once. Shawn Michaels did it a couple times a year.
Twice, that's what, right? He did it with the knee and he did it with the back. Well, the back was more legit than the concussion.
He did it with the knee, did it with the back. He did it when he
the back's legit.
Title
I would say him
1994.
retiring with the back is legit. The concussion was somewhat legit, but they used a fake injury. They use an injury on TV to sell a story.
I know.
That was like where he faints and stuff.
Yeah,
Not a huge fan of that.
Well, no, that was just.
And then the knee, and then when you do it on TV, and then you do have a possible knee thing, and then come back 5 months later, it makes it look suspect. But I will agree, like that's all. But they both worked. They're like I said, Brett came in through.
They were both well aware of how good they were.
Yeah, Brett came in through a wrestling school. Brett came in through a family in the business, and when you're in the business, you have a much easier time getting in the business if you know somebody already. And Shawn was the guy who nobody would sell for. He had the guy that he had fucking sensational Sherry telling people, fucking sell for this guy or you're gonna have problems. He had a different path to the top, and a lot of it was bigger guys.
Everybody does.
Bigger, stronger guys who were willing to step on his neck to get there.
They both had to overcome the steroids.
Brett and Shawn are probably. Height wise.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Brett had
Brett
can say I'm from the dungeon and he'd be fine. Where Shawn's like, here's my two fucking friends. Now we're gonna, you know what I mean?
Brett could also say, "Fuck with me in the ring and see what happens." Where Shawn couldn't do that because Shawn couldn't fight.
Totally agree.
Friend Shawn.
Jose Lothario.
Yeah, that's right.
Jose Lothario. And the thing with Vince is like, I let a lot of shit go with Shawn because his passion was there.
Really good.
And he was really talented. So yeah, they're literally the Batman and Joker of fucking professional wrestling. And then Shawn goes and has a second run, cleans himself up.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird because here's where I'll say
some say better than his first.
A little dig at Brett here a little bit, but Shawn changed who he was, went back to wrestling, became a trainer, and he's helping people to this day. Where Brett is still holding on to losing at Screwjob, and he's bitter, and he's a bitter old man.
Well, Brett couldn't have a second act because he had a bad concussion.
But anytime you talk to Brett, all his things are just shitting on everyone else.
That's usually Goldberg.
He's a bitter old man. He was shitting on Scott Hall. He was shitting on everybody.
I remember he put over Molina was. Molina was.
Brett right now is a bitter old man who hates everybody. And if he just lets go some of that drama, he'll be a lot like, you know what I mean?
If he hated everybody, he wouldn't have been there with Foley and Undertaker. And
there's certain exceptions to who he doesn't like, but he still holds on.
Shawn and Triple H.
He still holds on to a lot of shit.
When you say everybody, it's two people.
Yeah.
It's two people.
Shawn's willing to bury it. He realizes that he fucked up.
Okay, Brett and Shawn are okay.
Yeah, they're fine now. But I'm saying, like, I think a lot of it was, Shawn made amends of what he did, and now he's helping the business.
I think Brett more hates Goldberg.
Yeah, Brett hates Goldberg way more than Shawn Michaels.
In that aspect, I'm Team Brett. I don't like Goldberg either. All right, let's get into your final.
So this is a little different because
I'm sorry, real quick. Stephen Chambers, Brett versus Mr. Perfect.
Oh yeah, very good.
Also a great match. Austin versus Pillman. Brian Pillman versus Kevin Sullivan.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
A lot of good ones.
Booker Man.
Yeah, obviously not a huge surprise on my number one.
Mine's kind of all encompassing. It's a little outside the box because when this became an actual feud on wrestling television, it was an awful feud. But mine is WWF versus WCW.
There you go.
Because people believed it, people picked a side and believed in it, and unless you were around for it. Sorry, Austin.
Yeah.
Unless you were around for it, you don't understand the excitement that Monday night brought.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, who's going to show up on what show tonight? You didn't know who was going to jump unless you read the dirt sheets.
Yeah.
And even then you didn't know sometimes. You never knew it was going to happen.
See, I didn't.
They really hated each other.
I didn't have the same experience because I was deadlocked and dead set that I was only watching WWF. I didn't give a fuck about WCW. I'm like, your toys are cool. I bought your toys and your play sets were cool because your ring was better at the time. Your video games were cool. That was the extent of my WCW. Like, I knew through that and through people talking about it, but I would never watch it. I went to my buddy's house. I said it multiple times on the show. I went to a buddy's house and he did the channel flipping where he went back and forth, and I left his house and I went home and watched it because I was like, don't channel flip.
The trick was Nitro had a replay later.
Yeah.
And you could tape them both if you wanted.
Did not know that.
And watch one the next day if you can't stay up.
Yeah. So that I drew a heavy line in the sand, and I regret it. And that's why I'm telling wrestling fans.
People that did in there.
That's why I'm telling
I probably watched more Raw than Nitro, but I watched my share.
Yeah. That's why I'm telling wrestling fans now. You really don't have that competition where you have to choose. There's not a day where you have to pick.
Even if there is competition, you can
enjoy
still
both.
We watched one later.
Yeah. Enjoy both.
Even when you had NXT and AEW on at the same time, it was never like you never had that. somebody could show up. Like,
Yeah,
John
absolutely.
Cena could show up on AEW tonight. You knew it was never going to happen. But you had that. You had these big surprises, and you had these big moments, and they actively hated one another, and they actively engaged with one another. The DX invasion, the NWO was started and was until they had a lawsuit to stop it. They were just pretending that Kevin Nash, it was Razor Ramon and
you know
Diesel
who we are.
had shown up, and they were coming from the WWF to take over WCW.
And some people believe that.
Yeah,
Like some people in the business thought that.
Which
is crazy.
I forget where it happened. It might have been on Kevin Nash's podcast because he has one now. But somebody said the one night where they came in with baseball bats, and there were like 100 guys or 50 guys in the ring, and they were in there with baseball bats, and the cops came in and had their hands on their guns. And that's how Nitro ends. Like the cops, and this is in '96, have their hands on their guns. Like, if they come at this ring, we're going to shoot these two.
Yeah.
And National are like, you're done. WCW's screwed because there's 2 WWF guys here, and they think we can beat 50 a year guys.
Yeah.
But no, it was amazing. It was incredible. The Nitro right after Hogan turns, where they do the lawn dart with Ray, and it's so good.
Cops come. In the back.
And it was every Monday was an event. Every Monday was special. Every Monday, like especially like 96, 97, until it stopped getting competitive around 90.
When Raw was winning consecutively for like, let's say 6 months.
Because even when Nitro was ahead from like 96 to 98, you knew WWF was like, because WWF was the established one. It was the one that was around forever. It's like, WWF's got something up their sleeve, and then they got Austin, they got this guy. When X-Pac shows up, it's like X-Pac is a huge star when he shows up on Raw. It was just, unless you were there, you don't understand how great it was. And then
there's people that would get 2 TVs and then have both on at the same time. Or if you ever fancy the picture-in-picture, which I never had.
Yeah. If you were cheap and you knew how to go around things, you could do a cable splitter.
Oh yeah.
And you could run one in your TV and one in your VCR and watch one and tape the other.
That was the tricks back then. Or if you split your cable, you put one of them downstairs and one upstairs.
Yeah.
But
no, I have no. See, I'm kind of in the same spot that like Tony's in, of not really being exposed to any WCW.
It was great.
Yeah, imagine if Raw and Dynamite were on the same night, and Dynamite's a little more popular, and like the first night of Dynamite, Raw's off TV for some reason.
Orton hits an RKO.
And no, Orton shows up on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Or Lex Luger, like Orton's not a perfect like comparison, but something like
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash.
Yeah, but like the first Nitro and Raw's not on because of
and you're like, wait a minute, I just seen him not too long ago.
Yeah,
Rick Rude did all 3 in a week.
Yeah, well, he did both on the same night. He's on because Nitro came on at 8, Raw came on at 9. He shows up on Nitro, clean shaven. With the NWO, and then he's on Raw an hour later with a beard with DX because it's
and they're spoiling. I'm probably rehashing things here, but they're spoiling each other's shit. Or like they're saying on Nitro, don't tune in because this guy's gonna win the title tonight.
Yeah, they couldn't spoil Raw, or Raw couldn't spoil Nitro because it was never taped. I think like maybe once or twice it was taped. But Bischoff would constantly. The first time they were head to head, or first or second time they're head to head, he's like Shawn Michaels beats the big guy, meaning Sid, with a super kick that couldn't even earn a green belt at the YMCA, was his line.
Yeah, so they were just like, you don't need to tune in for the last hour because we'll tell you what happened. Stay here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It was not.
And then when some people were available, they would just sign them, not necessarily because they want them, just to be like, look who we got now.
Yeah. Like
talent horde.
Sable quits WWF, and she's still under contract. And I don't know how they didn't get sued on this. She shows up in the front row in Nitro. They had her buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was insanity. And then the Radicals, when the Radicals show up, that's toward the end of WCW.
That's when you know, like,
dead.
I think it's going one way.
Yeah.
Started shifting.
Yeah.
Everything started going the other
Jericho
direction.
left already.
Starts to turn into an all-star team on one side of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
but it's an all-star team of guys who could have been all-star teams maybe 20 years ago.
Because even when WCW was kicking the shit out of them in 96, 97, it's like, well, Steve Austin's really good, and they still have Brett, they still have Michaels,
and Undertaker.
Still have the Undertaker. Mankind's pretty cool. It's like it's not there yet because the NWO is so hot.
Triple H actually said a cool thing during the Montreal thing where he's like, where Sean took that really personal and made his title run even worse. Like he was told to enjoy his title run and he didn't because they're losing in the ratings and he's taking it personal, and it's nothing he's doing. He went out there and worked his balls off and probably put his body on the line even more than he ever did before, trying to make the company successful. And he just couldn't do it. And it was like, he felt like it was his fault, and it really wasn't at that point in time.
Well, I mean, Shawn Michaels is an A+ wrestler, but is like a main event carrier company guy. He's like a B.
Yeah.
B minus maybe.
But yeah, he's going through all this, and him and Taker are trying their best, both of them at this point, to fucking Taker's wrestling super injured. He has a broken face. He's doing everything he can to not be off TV to keep it going.
They don't want to lose, because if they lose, it means they don't have a job.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, they would probably get signed, but
Triple H said, he goes, when it came to actual like work rate and wrestling matches, he says we were doing fine. Like if you looked at our arenas, we were selling out every night, but we were just losing the TV ratings.
Yeah.
So we were putting people in seats in arenas and stadiums where WCW wasn't, but on TV we were losing because we weren't winning that popular vote when it comes to television.
And it wasn't eventually WCW tapered off, but it wasn't that WCW fell back and then Raw fell back to Raw's level. Raw just shot past them.
Yeah.
And WCW is still doing really well even when they got canceled, Nitro, and it wasn't where it was before, it was still the #1 show on TNT when it got canceled.
Yeah.
It's just that the guy who took over TNT said pro wrestling's low rent. I don't want it on my network. It's gone.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into, that is it for our topic. So thank you guys. We hit around the 1 hour, 145 mark. That's normally where we end the show. We'll give you guys an extra bonus 15, 20 minutes. We'll talk about current day wrestling and some news. If you want to cut out, that's completely up to you. If you want to stick around, we're going to talk modern day stuff. Once again, thank you guys all so much. So that we're kind of in the bonus round here. We're giving you some bonus content. We're going to talk current day, but thank you so much for hanging out, enjoying, sharing your rivalries with us. It was awesome. We appreciate you all more than you can imagine. Like I said, head over to YouTube, help us with a subscribe, grab some merchandise. If you can join that Patreon, that monthly donation would really help us, whether it be if we have 10 people viewing and 10 people do $1 or $5, that's a huge help, man. Anything works. We did have a Patreon before that was encompassing the whole network, and then I closed it and then separate everything, and we just really never got those people back because I don't think they realized that we brought it back right away because I didn't really advertise it. But at one point in time, our Patreon was helping pay a lot of bills when it comes to StreamYard and Adobe and things that we use to edit and make content. So if you can do that, that'd be great. If not, a share, a like, telling people, word of mouth helps out as well, and we appreciate it. Reviews on Apple, we're doing really well on Apple, so listen to the audio if you missed the live video stream, or you can go back and check out old episodes. We have everything broken down pretty easily for you guys. All right, let's get into history, or not history. What's going on right now in wrestling?
Right now, history.
History. Tomorrow's history. Yeah. So a lot of rumored returns. Look, we talked about how there's a lot of optimism in WWE right now with Triple H at the head of creative. And Raw ratings were at a 2-year high, over 2 million viewers.
I mean, that's kind of skewed, though. Like, it's
SummerSlam coming back. Pandemic, but it's also,
I will say this: have you noticed?
There's no major like football hasn't come around yet.
Have you noticed on your end, podcast wise, have your numbers gone up this month?
No, not
really. Ours are starting to bounce back. So I'm thinking, like, I'm not saying people are not. Like, this is the first summer where we don't really have huge outbreak numbers. They are coming back.
Oh, there's huge outbreak numbers. Just nobody cares anymore.
Yeah,
they're worse than ever. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, no one cares. But yeah, I think for the first couple months of the summer, like people just were not consuming podcasts like they were, and if they were, and our YouTube videos, or if they were, it was like short spurts because everybody wanted to be outside. So I think it's starting to pick back up. I don't know if that's the case for TV as well. I don't know. I don't watch.
It's the SummerSlam bump. WWE's been in the news. It's a lot of things. The Logan Paul thing probably got them attention. An NXT, but NXT also saw their highest ratings since June.
Oh, because people were expecting to see if they changed.
Yeah. And I didn't watch it, but it sounded like there was some decent wrestling on there.
So
I heard some things.
I saw there was the new women's tag champions. I saw
Carmelo Hayes versus Nathan Frazier. They did a funny thing there where Vidi Vinci is like walking to the ring, he's posing, and Frazier just runs by him right to the ring and accepts the open challenge.
Yeah, I know.
Vidi Vinci
is that's horrible. I don't think that's long for this world.
JD McDonough.
I don't know. I think the name thing's gonna stick.
It seems like they are going to stick with that. If you are using any part of your real name, they're not going to let you. Like, that's why you have Io Sky.
Like,
yeah, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll be more like, hey, can we get a different one?
Like JD McDonough, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
that name's
fine.
Right.
Yeah, Io Shirai. Dakota Kai though is interesting. Was that given to her?
Yes.
Yeah, when she went to NXT,
because when she left, she was going
like Io Shirai. I think that's her real name, so that's why they're
that's why they're changing.
Yeah.
It. But there was a guy that came back on NXT, Santos Escobar. Did he come back?
Yeah, he was. It seems like Legado del Fantasma's back. They cost Tony D'Angelo and his partner the tag.
I'm sure NXT a little bit low on the list of things to do for Triple H.
It'll get there
eventually.
Let's get other things figured out first, and
then we kind of mentioned it: Bailey, Dakota Kai, Io Sky,
What a way to kick off the show.
Yeah,
SummerSlam was awesome.
I thought the beginning of SummerSlam was very good. The middle was kind of blah, and then the end is
Ronda Liv
crazy
lost
spectacle. That
I
Pat
didn't
McAfee,
hate that
Baron
match.
Corbin
You
was-
guys prepped me for that Liv Ronda match, and I was expecting to hate it, and I actually really
was sloppy.
liked
It
it.
was
looked
short.
sloppy.
It was there.
Ronda,
I didn't see sloppiness in it.
Taking the submission pin
Yeah.
angle.
I
I
know.
think they're turning Liv.
I mean, that's
heel.
fine, but
No, they're turning Ronda.
Yeah,
heel.
Ronda's heel.
I think Liv's turn. Dude, when she knew she tapped. She knows she tapped, and then she looked at the
Oh, what's she
camera.
gonna say? You can have the belt.
She looked
Yeah.
at the camera. She smiled and gave a little kiss. I think it's a slow turn.
I don't know.
The big,
Match wasn't good.
the other
And
big
neither was
rumor.
Pat McAfee, Baron Corbin.
I thought
It
the
was
celebrity
bad.
matches were exactly what they needed to be.
Miz Logan Paul was.
Yeah,
exactly
no,
what it
Logan
should've
Paul is a very good wrestler for wrestling 2 matches.
Killing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Pat McAfee match was, I don't know. Well, that was his on the bottom end of his matches.
I agree. I was expecting more out of him, and he
been.
looked.
It was Pat McAfee's worst match.
yeah.
Not that it was awful, but it was his worst match. It also
Overall card was not
he
a
was
terrible
wrestling
card.
Austin
Adam
Theory,
Cole.
who's decent, and Adam Cole, who's
Yeah.
great.
When I say Liv and Ronda was my least favorite match, it wasn't because it was dog shit. It was still a good match.
Yeah.
Short.
It just
It was a
the
fun
whole
show.
pay per view
Yeah.
itself was a fun show.
The big rumor now: Sasha Banks and Naomi may be on their way back, possibly maybe on SmackDown tomorrow. Who knows?
You would think because Raw's a little heavy.
The
on
rumor
their
is
talent.
that it's signed, sealed, delivered. They're on their way back.
I would think so because their problem was with Vince, not Triple H.
Here's the thing:
Sasha was used very well in NXT.
if this Vince news doesn't break and Tripp and everyone take over this month,
Mhm.
and they wait a month, it's a different landscape.
Yeah.
It's a completely different
What
landscape.
do you mean?
I don't know. I think going back to what you
do you
said,
think
though,
do you think Sasha waits out another month, even though she goes like I think her doing that autograph signing in Chicago under a Mercedes, whatever,
Yeah,
and the same night as the AEW pay per view, I think that was a sit down meeting night.
maybe.
I think that was for them to
Possibly.
sit down
I would think as
and
soon
maybe
as.
ink something up.
Oh, I thought you meant Tony Khan. I'm sure as soon as Tony Khan could have called her, he did.
I think they did,
Yeah,
but I think
don't
her
anything
booking an
happened.
autograph signing that night in that city was for them to finally sit down and talk things out.
It could have been, but I'm sure when Triple H got control, he probably was like,
That's what I'm saying.
let's
If
call
this
them back.
waits a month,
Yeah,
he
but it's
doesn't
not
have
like-
control.
it's not like Sasha was booked bad during the Vince era. She was booked very well.
Yeah, she
Sure.
was just upset by it. So I mean, I think Triple H is gonna get her come back.
Yeah, I do too. I'm just saying if this waits a month or two, it's a different ball game. Same with Gargano.
I think they'd still
Yeah.
want her.
I think they
Well,
would
you
one or
can- You
two.
can play that 2 ways. Like
Yeah.
if it's a month earlier, does Claudio sign?
Yeah,
Very
Yeah,
true.
you might.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see the next 5 to 10 years of WWE. And I know that's a lot.
It's very interesting.
People
Next
think
5 weeks.
Yeah.
people think. Well, I'm just
Yeah.
saying 5 to 10 years is when a lot of these contracts end up in AEW.
All
the
right, so
landscape.
here's a
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Let's not say 5 years. Let's say 2 years. In 2 years, who owns WWE?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Is it still the McMahons, or is it Disney? Is it Comcast?
Apple, Amazon.
Yeah.
You know,
Interesting to see.
Keep an eye out for Comcast because they own Peacock, they own the USA Network.
They own
WrestleMania-
Flyers.
WrestleMania 40 is in Philadelphia. That's where they're headquartered.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
so if Comcast buys WWE, they're on USA for free.
They're saving $240 million a year if they do that.
Wow.
And they're like, "Hey, Fox, I'm gonna take SmackDown back."
Yeah.
Or just you can pay a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
more.
Or you can
Yeah.
pay more if you want it,
You
but
can
if
pay
not,
a little bit
we'll just
more.
take it back.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting time right now because a lot of people, even Maria and Mike Kanellis Bennett, have turned around and said, Triple H is in charge. I'll come back and help your women's division.
Yeah, I don't know how. they got along with
And,
Wedge, but
and a couple weeks before that, they were like, if Vince is there, we'll never go back.
I
I
saw
don't blame him
probably
there.
like his only WWE pay-per-view match.
Mike?
Like
Yeah.
Bennett, yeah.
Him and Sami Zayn.
He's been killing it in Impact. Yeah, he's
Very
doing really well.
talented guy.
Yeah, very talented.
AEW, there's always this concern now about all these things that are being cut from Warner Brothers Discovery. They seem they cut the Batgirl movie. They're
Mhm.
cutting a Scooby-Doo movie. They're cutting this. They're cutting that.
a bunch of shows got canceled.
They just recently, I think, while we've been on the air, they announced in 2023, HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to be one service. It's going to
Makes
be
sense.
coming together in the summer of 2023.
Like that.
AEW's TV deal with Warner Media, which is a part of HBO Warner Brothers Discovery, ends in 2022. So if they were counting on a big TV rights deal, they might not get it when this company is just slashing costs left and right. Like they canned a movie that was already filmed so they can get a $90 billion tax write-off or $90 million tax write-off.
Yeah.
So does this mean we're gonna get like Shark Month?
Yeah.
Good.
It's a very we're not. This is not raise the red
We could
flags.
get FTR against the Mythbusters.
Yeah, this is not a raise the red flags, but it's something to be concerned about if you're in AEW.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah, something to keep an eye out. Yeah.
But AEW did announce some moves in their front office. They hired Madison Rayne as a coach for the women's division. I think she's also going to wrestle on Rampage.
Yeah.
Then they did make some other moves. Sanjay Dutt has been promoted to the vice president of production and creative coordination, where
they
he
need
will
some help
be
with creative.
Yeah, he'll be communicating storylines, doing mentoring new producers. He's going to work mainly with the producers. These call them road agents. And then QT Marshall is the vice president of the show and creative coordination. So I think he's going to do more with character development storylines. He's the guy that books all the people for Dark and Dark Elevation and stuff.
Don't hate that at all. I think it's good that they're saying, okay, let's put other people in charge and help and get some help here.
Yeah, Pat Buck is now the vice president of talent development. So he's going to be kind of the go-between between talent production coaches and things like that. They did say that Christopher Daniels is staying as the manager of talent relations. That's been his job. And then
so is he like the bench coach?
Who, Pat Buck?
No.
Christopher Daniels is
Christopher Daniels.
Christopher Daniels is like the manager.
Yeah.
He's like over these people.
Oh, I see.
He's like what Laurinaitis was.
If he wants to hire somebody, he can. Whereas if they want to hire him, they have to go through.
I see.
And then Tony Schiavone is now a senior producer and special advisor to talent.
Mm-hmm. Tony Schiavone when his podcast, I always mentioned how he liked to produce and like edit tapes when he did that for WWF and make Coliseum videos. He would edit. He liked doing that.
This even though we just said possible scary news for AEW, this is really good news for AEW.
Well, I don't think if AEW gets if Warner's like, nah, I don't think so.
I think they'll find another.
I think they could find a home. You could find. I'm trying to I don't know where. Maybe FX. Maybe. I don't know if ESPN's in the market for wrestling.
Yeah, or even like Netflix,
CW.
What if they go just a thing?
UPN.
They get off this HBO Discovery deal and they're like, okay, let's go to another one. But whatever deal they go to next is like, hey, I know you guys don't really you don't know about this other thing, but we want to work a relationship with this company and this company. Can we do something together where we can do something in that aspect? Where we
I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah. So I'm saying if they're on TNT and they're like, hey, they kind of have a deal now where if you're in Japan, you can watch AEW commercial free on Do Japan World.
Yeah.
Well, your deals go by country. Like their deal with TNT or TBS is for the United States, not Japan.
Oh, I see. I didn't know if that was part of it. Yeah,
it's different.
You usually do TV deals by country,
how the network still existed in other countries.
So AEW's gonna be on Access, is what you're telling. Oh boy, please God no.
Pop
Destination America.
Maybe if Tony Khan can buy Anthem. Well, they did try to sell him Impact before he started AEW.
Yeah.
But no, just for an example, there was always Raw was on USA in the United States, and then it was on TSN.
They say in the chat here, why can't AEW just start their own streaming service like ROH did?
They could.
The problem is you want a TV deal.
Yeah. You want mass appeal. You want to be in front of eyeballs.
If they're no longer a TV company and then you watch everything through a streaming company,
they're done. At that point, you're Impact.
That's a huge step.
You don't have the people that are just flipping the channels.
Yeah.
Or people are like, oh, it's not on cable. Well, I ain't watching it. Which is a lot of people.
I know. Sammy Callahan just said you can go on YouTube and pay an extra $1 and get Impact Wrestling. But once again,
who's doing that?
Yeah,
the hardcore.
Yeah,
and plus
we love Impact, but it needs to be on a network where you can fucking Access is only on certain things. Like if
easily accessible.
Yeah, we're rooting for Impact. It just I'm not paying for another. I'm not going out and buying Pluto TV or Sling
Pluto
TV
is free.
Yeah. Or not Pluto, Sling TV, because I researched. I said, what digital streaming service television program do I have to buy to have access to Access? And the only thing I found was Sling TV.
They should be on Hulu.
Yeah, I'm not. Hulu has everything.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I demote myself and get rid of all that back library and instant streaming to buy Sling TV just so I can watch Impact Wrestling?
Yeah.
At that point, you just buy Impact Plus.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do. We buy Impact Plus.
And plus, when the TV station then pays you for the show.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, if the AEW made a network and they charge $10 a month, they would get everyone to subscribe.
Yeah, that's what.
But
yeah,
WWE had that, and they had a network paying them for the Raw and SmackDown. So.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our next topic here.
So a few more news things. We did have the AEW video game. Some stuff leaked from
Looks
that.
very much like No Mercy. There's mini games. Apparently, everyone's in it. Yuka Sakazaki was in the one screenshot.
Wow.
So there's 80 characters.
What do we think about the mini games?
Abaddon.
I'm very excited for
that. Fine. As long as the wrestling's good, put that's extra bonus shit that doesn't matter.
If you keep career mode, if you keep like a GM mode, and if you keep just a good wrestling.
And you have to have a creative title mode so everybody can be a champion.
Yeah, like the season mode, and then maybe you have like go for the world title, go for the TNT
But
title.
if you say we're gonna have just the match types, no creative mode, no GM mode, and no create like no create no
GM mode. I don't
see that one.
Something similar. It has to have something similar.
Story.
You have to be able to do your own stories and stuff.
I don't think in this first one, probably not.
I think it's a huge mistake. I think if you give people mini games
how many
and
times
not,
did you play GM mode?
I'm saying I'm not.
The people who
I'm sorry.
GM mode,
sorry.
I've never
universe mode. Universe mode.
GM mode.
No, it's okay. Like I'm not talking to use your wrestler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying create a wrestler, do a storyline. I'm talking universe mode where you can make your own universe. And not GM mode, universe mode.
I don't
if that's not in there and you give people fucking baseball and not like a universe mode, they're gonna be upset.
Yeah,
you gave people.
Well, here, let me say this. Right now, the game as it is, people will be upset no matter what.
Yeah, true.
Sure. I mean, everyone's snapping out. I think the character models look a little clunky when they had the can over Adam Cole's head. It was barely looked like it was on.
It looks like it is No Mercy.
Yeah, it looks like a Nintendo 64 game right now.
Yeah.
But we don't know how much it's been polished yet either.
Well, yeah. Also, I haven't played a video game in years where I've actually had fun.
The new one's really good.
It is, but as far as like other sport games are not fun.
Oh, I fell off completely. I used to buy Madden every year, and I'm like, I'm not doing this no more. Fuck that. Make a better game, and I'll buy it.
I'm an NHL guy because I'm good at the game.
Yeah,
but as
NHL, I think sports wise, the only one that and the show have been the only two games that had consistency.
Is Fall Guys a sport?
Sure. No, but like FIFA was the most dominant sports game of all time, and they completely pissed off their fan base.
Imploded.
And now people are like, we don't even want to play FIFA.
Well, that happened in WWE too.
Yeah.
They had to stop for a year.
I don't know what company, but like EA Sports actually lost the
FIFA. Yeah,
like they can use the like FIFA teams, but they can't use the term FIFA.
Yeah.
So their next game coming out is just EA Soccer or whatever, or EA Football.
Yeah.
And then FIFA signed with another company to make a FIFA game.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they were so pissed at the way EA Sports dropped the ball that FIFA left. And their fan base was like, fuck you, make it. We want a better game.
Not so much the US, but that game sells a lot.
It's a world. That's an international game.
It's an esports game. When I first started getting into it, I realized FIFA is like the biggest.
Yeah. I think hockey right now is your most popular when it comes to EA, when it comes to sports games, because people.
It's still Madden.
Madden's there, but Madden's fan base is pissed. Like they're like, we're sick.
They're still pissed, but casual fans and football is so astronomically more popular than hockey.
Yeah,
that it's Madden.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like gameplay mechanic, I think NHL plays.
Well, I'm not saying the best received. I'm saying the most popular.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, next Moose. Moose. I don't know why I said
I'm looking forward to AEW.
If the controls are good, I'm in.
These two kind of things tie together. One of the college athletes, the WWE signed to a next in line deal, AJ Ferrari, who is a wrestler.
I'd sign AJ Ferrari.
Is he the son of Tina?
Yeah, is he?
Is he allowed to use Ferrari?
Well, he might AJ Corvette. He may not be long for WWE.
He said, "Be a miracle or bring back the college football games." College football is in production right now.
It is.
They are bringing back NCAA
because
football.
Of the different rules now. With
that is coming back. That might be back. They might surprise that. It could be surprised this season.
Yeah,
it's that close.
Well, they better hurry if it's going to be out in a month.
Yeah.
Probably next season. But AJ Ferrari.
Madden drops in August, right?
Yes.
In August.
So we are in August right now.
Yeah. That's
so. This guy AJ Ferrari was dropped from the Oklahoma State wrestling team, and he has been charged with sexual battery.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then they had some struggles.
Just change his last name. No one will ever know.
They had some struggles during the tryout.
He could just be Ferrari.
Yeah.
They had a lot of issues with people getting hurt, people who didn't know what they were doing. So now it looks like WWE may take a look at indie wrestlers again.
Yeah.
When they're looking for people.
Imagine taking people that know nothing about wrestling and saying, "Hey, wrestle, but don't get hurt."
And then let's end on a happy note. And I think Austin mentioned this earlier. Sean Spears and Cassie Lee, the former Peyton Royce, expecting their first child.
Yeah. Cool for them. A new chairman has entered the chat.
Maybe you should do something other than wrestle.
Yeah.
Maybe that child should do something other than wrestle.
Yeah, maybe learn guitar or painting. Something like that. Maybe singing.
Maybe
probably
to steal a word from Guile, maybe Sean Spears should go home and be a family man.
Yeah. That would be great.
Run your wrestling school, Sean.
Future world champion.
Oh my! Maybe the child.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I actually
maybe Cassie Lee.
Yeah.
The opening match from NXT Takeover Toronto, the DIY versus FTR or the Revival 2 out of 3 falls. The first match is Canadians going off against each other. Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger at the time. Fantastic match. But
I don't.
Ty Dillinger had one thing.
The 10 thing. Yeah.
That's it.
I don't hate John
That's it.
Spears. I think there's people that are a lot worse.
That's true. There is.
There are people that are a lot better too.
Yeah.
There
Of
are people
course.
that are a lot worse. Yeah.
All right, Andy, what do you want to plug?
Hey, Ric Flair's last match. We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't
he
good.
survived. Next.
It wasn't good. Heard the undercard was good. Matt Warner was going to be on AEW.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna wrestle Moxley.
I think I got eliminated from the Stampede at the time he made his entrance.
How
I
about
heard.
that?
Yeah.
So I'll take that.
Oh,
Oh yeah, go watch Sanctuary Stampede.
yeah,
Yeah,
go watch
It's up
it.
on Sanctuary's
Also,
YouTube page. We're both
We
in
we
it.
had a little private chat at one time that got dissolved and nuked and then started another one. But in that chat, there was a conversation we had a while back where we said, who could be the next GCW World Champion? And I put a name out there and I got laughed out of the chat. And I said, I think the guy who will be the one who eventually beats Jon Moxley is Effie.
Yeah, you can see that.
You think Effie's gonna win that while Moxley is the interim
I
AEW
do.
World Champion?
I
Yeah.
do.
Oh, not why he's interim world
I
champion.
do.
Maybe when he loses the interim world champion.
I could see Effie winning that title.
The show is
I-
called
just not now.
Homecoming.
What better way to
They
put
always
Effie
call the shows
over?
an AC Homecoming.
Oh, and they
What
put it
better
together real
way?
quick. Homecoming. He brings the title home.
That
back.
is like a regular show name.
I
for
know, but I'm just saying they put it on that card. I don't know. I think Effie can be your next GCW
that.
champion.
He could be.
yeah, I agree
he
with
very
that.
well could be. I don't think now.
Yeah.
Not while Moxley. They the reason they put off the Moxley Barnett Bloodsport match is because they didn't want Moxley losing until he lost the title to Kenny.
Yeah. So,
Sucks to be you, AEW. You're not telling us how to book our show.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
When
that is
GC
our contracted talent. If you put him on your show, we will sue you.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, they are.
Moxley can turn around and say, "I can. I'm
And they
cool
can
with
say,
dropping."
John Moxley, you are fired.
I don't
You're going to
think-
sit out
Good-
your
good-
contract.
Good luck with that.
I don't think
Oh, good.
Moxley's gonna.
Oh, you don't think they're allowed to fire him?
I don't think they would.
I don't think Moxley would do that because he's a professional.
Do you think if they're saying if Moxley was like, "Hey, I'm dropping the title Effie tonight," you think AEW like you can't do that because it makes us look weak?
Yes.
And then I think that's so fucking stupid.
It is, but you want your AEW world champion losing?
If you owned
on a-
AEW,
on a
would you
s-
want John Moxley losing on indie shows?
It's
Yeah.
it's GCW. It's
Yeah.
their company. They're paid
All
the
right,
rules.
fine. If John Moxley said, "I'm going to go lose to Virgil at some flea
Sure.
market show,"
That's that. If I'm allowing you to take that booking and I'm allowing you to work for that company, and I'm allowing you to take their
AEW
title.
may allow you to. They can say you can take that booking, but you can't lose.
Yeah, like
you
we've
know
heard.
this can happen.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
know this can happen.
but I think John Moxley has a little different stroke than anyone else. I think if John Moxley said, "Con, I'm going to the show and I'm losing it," then they say, "Okay,
I don't think he would say that.
we'll
All right.
find out." And
If-
we'll
if
find out in
Here's
2
how we
weeks.
find out. Let's everybody subscribe to the Patreon, and we're going to book a show where we have two wrestlers on this table. I'm going to beat John Moxley on the show.
Yeah.
You're not
And
Effie.
it doesn't matter.
It does matter. Effie's
Who gives a
God.
shit?
It doesn't matter if
No,
it's
your
Brock
thing is
Lesnar.
that anybody can lose to anybody as long as it's okay.
It's
No,
a-
I think if you're good enough and you've earned your stripes in that promotion,
I've earned my stripes in my imaginary promotion that I just made up.
okay.
Yeah.
Then
There's
if you're
nothing
the
against
booker,
Effie. Effie
yeah.
could win the world title, but is he going to beat?
Yeah, it's
The
not an indictment on
AEW
Effie.
world
It's just the
champion.
realities of the
The
wrestling.
main
business.
thing I've taken away from this is that I was just called a wrestler.
Stunt fighter. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Aspiring to
Yeah.
be.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun. I hope Effie does it, but I'm excited for that pay per view. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it.
Is it a pay per view?
It is.
It's a fight.
Or is
I
it on?
pay- yeah, it's an
not
pay-per-view,
on
yeah.
pay per view.
well, it's on Fight TV.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't really have like pay per view deals. They just do it.
Well,
on
They
Fight
just did
TV.
that one.
I think Fight TV is considered pay per view.
It's considered an internet pay per view.
Basically,
Internet
yeah.
pay per view. Yeah. We won't be able to see it live because it will be at PPW. But excited for the show, and I'm excited. I like Effie a lot. He has a great podcast. Go follow it.
Oh, I didn't know I had a
That's-
podcast. Wow.
Yeah. Your plug? You have any other plugs?
Yeah, PPW next week. I
You will be in a
forward
four-way?
for the TV title, baby. Me versus Griffin McCoy versus Killian Murphy versus Rembrandt. Should be pretty good. Looking
And
forward
that
to it.
tag thing this week.
Yeah, and the
right?
tag team Long Pond Frontier Pro Wrestling, Long Pond, PA,
A
right
lot
by
of tag teams in that.
right by the Pocono Speedway. It's like a mile down the road. Me and Matt Turner are in that. Diamond City War Machines are in that. I'll try to think who else is in that.
I'm still up in the air if I'm going to that or a different
Yeah,
event.
it should be
I'm
pretty
still
good.
trying to find out
Their
information.
shows are fun, and
Yeah.
it's only for us. It's from here. It's like 50 minutes, maybe 45.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad drive.
Tell me,
81.
money's tight, so I have to be careful where I go and how much I spend.
So-
But that's not
yeah.
a terrible drive.
Riley Crow and Philly Mike are going to be at that.
Oh,
Love
that
those
tag
guys.
tournament.
Love those guys.
Top
and girl
tier.
team.
Pretty Boss. The Creamy World Order. Stan
Oh.
Styles will be there. Skylar Kincaid and Felipe Jr. will be there.
Okay.
Diamond City War Machines. The Throne Inc. I
Mhm.
know Blue and Gold
That's where we
has
wrestled last
them
time.
quite a bit. Blue and Gold will be there. The Associates.
Familiar with them? Last time Philly Mike jumped off they have like a kind of a balcony, jumped off onto like,
that may be everyone.
Miles, yeah,
That may be
that's
everyone they've announced at least.
Yeah, Austin, your plug.
The Sanctuary. Specifically tomorrow, there's an event in Hazleton called Arts in the Park, and then afterwards at 8:30, there's an after party at the Sanctuary.
How about that?
I'll be there. Could be doing some crazy things. There might be some karaoke. There might be some video games. There might be some jousting. There might be those orb things where you run at each other and
Oh yeah, I know when you're in the ball and you're like
Yeah.
you're inside like hamster wheels.
yes, yeah.
Oh, this reminded me of
Inflatable
American Gladiator.
What,
Yeah.
time, what time is the sanctuary stuff start? Not the arts in the park stuff.
So the after party at the Sanctuary starts at 8:30.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe something I may stop by for.
Oh, here's something. Lex Luger said if he would be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, he would attempt to walk on stage for it.
Oh wow.
They're still like, we're good.
Well, yeah.
I think any heat they've had with Luger. is
Yeah, I
well
think
gone,
that's
especially with what's happened with
Yeah.
him. I
Yeah.
think bygones are bygones there.
Your plug.
Murder, my dude. A new episode will be coming out in 2 hours and 20 minutes. This time we're talking about a series of bombings in Salt Lake City in the mid 1980s. It's something where it kind of got into some intrigue about like historical documents and the history of the Mormon Church and things like that. We also do Who Died the Worst, as always. We also have a segment called This Week in Murder. We talk about a shooting at a nude beach.
Ooh.
Yeah, a shooting at a nude beach. So just look up Murder, my dude, wherever you find podcast.
What did that guy conceal the gun? I want to know.
It was a hunting rifle.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Keistered it.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
That's edgy.
And maybe in his towel. He was carrying his towel.
There you go.
So don't mind my weird towel.
So yeah, there's that. If wherever you find podcasts, audio podcasts, I should say.
Oh yeah,
iTunes,
Lex Luger getting a
Apple.
biography on A&E. So
Yeah.
if it's an WWE A&E, maybe they're the beef is
It's
gone.
a feel good.
I could see that.
iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find audio podcasts, look up Murder, my dude. Anytime after midnight, you will find it. Episode 138, Mormons, my dude.
Wow.
Mormons, my dude. The IWEP network. If you head over to that website, the links are all below. You can support the rest of the shows on the network. On Tuesday, we just did our live episode of the movie Goodfellas, where me and Heidi on Not Cool in High School sat down and talked the movie Goodfellas. And then after we reviewed it, we kind of talked about like pop culture and some of the things that are going on, especially with representation in pop culture. We kind of talked about Black Panther and how it is important for Black culture and Hispanic culture and Asian culture to be represented in pop culture, and how it's kind of only been like a newer thing for a lot of these cultures to start getting their own standalone movies and almost every character in it being only of that culture.
Major movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And how it is important. Like Heidi talked about growing up, and every doll she ever bought was a blonde hair, blue eye Barbie, and she never really had representation, and how people like kind of hate on it, but don't really know the other side of the spectrum. So it's a really cool episode. Check that out. If you are on YouTube currently, if you just go to our main page and scroll to the very bottom, the first 5 pages, interviews of everyday people, Not Cool in High School, Truth Behind Illusion, and Bangin' Beers podcast are all on there, and you can hit follow and subscribe and check out the rest of our shows on our network. You got some?
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention a rivalry that is not wrestling related.
What's that?
So again, like I said during this podcast, I said I don't really watch anything other than wrestling. However, recently, Hannah and I, she has started watching anime prior to me, but the first TV series I've actually started to watch is Hunter x Hunter.
Never heard of it.
No, I don't
it's on
know
Netflix.
anime.
It's on Netflix. Again,
It's an anime.
yeah, it's not like I'm an anime guy by any means.
I tried. I can't do it.
I
No.
can't really get into it either.
The storytelling in this, when it comes, there's so many like direct equivalencies to pro wrestling. Like the second season is all about literally a hunter's arena where they fight. It's literally pro wrestling.
Well, there's
Pro wrestling's in everything.
there's Ultimate Muscle, which is all about pro wrestling.
Yeah, there's a
True.
pro wrestling anime.
So isn't there a lucha one too? I was talking about it.
It might be Ultimate
Yeah.
Muscle.
Oh, okay.
There's another one too. There's a
Ultimate
bunch.
Muscle was like Japanese.
There's one
Yeah.
that's Tanahashi was in, and I don't remember.
So the main storyline thus far in this it starts off pretty much like a Royal Rumble of like 400 applicants, and they're all trying to become a hunter. And the feud that starts there is Hisoka and Gon. And Hisoka has like he's literally a magician, and he's got like all of these like supernatural powers, and so the first time they interact is Gon steals Hisoka's badge, and then Hisoka beats the shit out of him, punches him in the face, and he said, "You keep that badge, return it when you could do what I just did to you." So then they meet at the Hunters Arena and they have their first fight. And the story there is obviously Gon wants to punch him in the face. So during the match, Gon is getting his butt kicked and then finally figures something out, socks Hisoka, and gives him the badge back. Gon loses the fight, though. And the way that they've paced it out is legitimately WWE Pro Wrestling of milking the story. Hey, he got his punch, but he hasn't won the fight yet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was just a rivalry that I wanted to bring up because it's very prevalent.
Also for the Not Cool in High School, we figured out that how we're going to do the horror. So we were going to do like horror and just pepper it in here and there.
Mhm.
But I think we figured out what we're going to do is Not Cool in High School and Truth Behind Illusion are bi-weekly. So what we're going to do is 1 week will be Not Cool in High School, the other week will be horror, and then the next time Not Cool in High School returns, it'll be a horror episode. So we're going to rotate back and forth between Not Cool in High School and Not Cool in High School horror. So the next time we come back for Not Cool in High School in 2 weeks, will be Not Cool in High School horror, and we'll be talking Carrie 1976.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. That's pretty much does it for us. Thank you guys so much. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. Seriously, it means the world to us. Thank you for the support. Like I said, vlog drops tomorrow. You can check that out. Make sure you share, let people know about this podcast existing. While the outro music is playing, leave us a review in the chat. The comments always help and shows interaction, but leave a review. Tell us what you thought about it. Give us a score. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll pop them on the screen as the outro music's playing. Until then, we'll see you next week, where our topic will be
the history of the show Tough Enough.
Yeah. And the winners and losers that made the losers who were actually winners.
Yes.
Hey, and kid, fix your shorts. Your nutsack's hanging out.